Hello, everybody. This is Joseph Pasek, and welcome to the Fired Up Network. Welcome to the flagship show of the Fired Up Network, Fired Up Live. We got an outstanding show for you tonight, and we're going to begin with some sad news. As many of you Blue Jay fans know, photographer Chuck Kochman passed away late last night. Funeral is tomorrow here in Young and Steeles. Um, what a nice man Chuck was. I had the opportunity to meet him a couple times since my broadcasting career, and he was an outstanding man. So, condolences to his friends and family, and they had a moment of silence today at the Blue Jay game for him. By the way, the Blue Jays lost to the Baltimore Orioles today, 6-1. Tonight on the flagship show of the Fired Up Live, we got first the coach, Carmen Asako, previewing the round of 16 in the Women's World Cup, followed by the newest member of the Fired Up Network team, Gerard Bentley. Then we got the junkyard dog, Jerome Williams, interviewing former NBA player Eddie Curry. The Hall of Famer John Freeman Nelson of OSG Sports is back to preview Week 9 in the Canadian Football League on CFL No Yards. And Captain Canada Drew Ebanks and Alex Campbell on Ballin talk about the Canadian Elite Basketball League playoffs and talk about the NBA, also Canadian basketball. Gerald Bentley joins us for his new show, Wrestling with Sales. He's interviewing NWA wrestler Dak Draper. IGN Daily gives you your latest fix on the video game world. And then myself and John Carlo Lino on the wrestling / on the mat wrestling show, talking about the WWE, AEW, and previewing SummerSlam that happens this Saturday from Detroit. So we begin with the coach, Carmen Asako, in just a few seconds from now. Welcome to the Fired Up Network. Welcome to the flagship show of the Fired Up Network, Fired Up Live. Welcome to Women's World Cup update with the one and only Coach Carmen Asako. We're going to get to the round of 16, but Carm, today we had some stunners. Okay, I want to begin with yesterday. Jamaica and Brazil 0-0. Brazil is gone. Jamaica, how fitting it is. Caravana weekend. They're celebrating the streets of Toronto. I don't know the dance, whiny or whatever. I don't know the dance. How big is this for women's soccer?
Oh, it's fantastic. And if any one of you get a chance to watch the post-game video with the Jamaican coach, it's a classic. It's a classic. But it's great for CONCACAF, right? It's great for, to see how all the CONCACAF teams have fared. Obviously, only Jamaica getting in, the U.S. getting through to the next round. But, what a great performance. What a great 3-game performance.
For round of 16, Korea Republic won, Germany won. Great game there. What do you think that one?
You said it, shocker, incredible. It's incredible what the trends game. I mean, if you look back, these games would be 5-6-0, and it would be a foregone conclusion. But team in Morocco after losing nothing 6-0 are moving on to the next round, and in Germany, Canada, Brazil, some of the top teams in the world. It's just a statement on how the game is evolving, is growing, how much investment. But it's kind of funny talking that the big thing going on right now is Jamaica had to do GoFundMe pages just to get there, and now they're in the next round of the World Cup, which is incredible for them. Kudos to hard work, kudos to concentrating on the importance, and it's great to see how, what a shocker. Germany looked like they were in just strides in this tournament and had a chance to win it, in my estimate. What a shocker. Incredible that the Koreans who did a fantastic job defending in the final third, finding actions when it was most important. All the things that they did was really important. What an incredible result for them.
All right, let's get to the round of 16. I know, Carm, Saturday morning early. For me, it's 1 a.m. I got Saturday. Yeah.
FiredUp Network.
Yeah, live program. That's it. So there you go. Round of 16 begins Saturday, August 15th, 1 a.m. Switzerland and Spain, 4 a.m. Japan, Norway, and 10 p.m. We got the Netherlands, Africa there. 3 games Saturday. Sunday, only one match, only one at 5 a.m. Sweden and the U.S. Monday, August 7th, England, Nigeria at 3, 6th, Australia and Denmark. And then on Tuesday, 4 a.m., 7 a.m., France and Morocco. Round of 16. Get to the Saturday. I know I'm going to wake up at 1 a.m. Saturday for me. I don't know if you know this. 1 a.m. It's Switzerland and Spain there. Then we got a SummerSlam, and then we got Nate Diaz against Jake Paul. What a day Saturday is. 1 a.m. Who you got? Switzerland and Spain. Let's see if you make the right decision.
Well, I think the Spanish are very comfortable against European teams. I've been pretty good. I did tell you that the Brazilians were overrated. And
yes.
I think that.
But you also told me Messi will not score. He has 4. He scored another 2 last night.
No, I didn't. I said you said over under 10 in the league. League's Cup doesn't count. Oh. In the league, over 10, and I said under. That's all. Okay.
When they're back August 20th, we'll see.
I'm probably wrong, but yes. As the Spanish are very comfortable in the European game, obviously in the club system they do very well. Barcelona, Real Madrid, they have some incredible, and it's mostly Spanish-based players. So I think that they can handle this. They can handle the physicality of the Swiss game. I think they can handle the directness of the Swiss game. But it's gonna be what we've seen hold true in this tournament is finishing opportunities. Big teams like the U.S., big teams like Germany, big teams like Canada haven't been clinical in that final. Game's evolving, but the individual player of that number 9 or that attacking midfielder or that goal getter, it hasn't been there yet. You see the opportunities in different situations that the African countries are getting, whether Nigeria or Zambia or getting those opportunities in the final third and doing very well. So that's the biggest situation right now, is breaking down compact defenses, finding that player that's going to make that special difference right now. And so far the big teams haven't shown that, and cost Germany and Canada and Brazil. It cost them, a
tournament. Yeah. So, and you got Spain, right?
I have Spain, yes.
Okay, so 5 a.m. Or 4 a.m. Saturday, Japan, Norway. This is a not bad match. A lot of people are sleeping on the Japanese, but Norway's always been tough there. So this is a pretty good match. Who you got in this one?
The inconsistency of the Norwegians, coming in, losing to the New Zealanders and not playing well. I think I think that this may be a little more comfortable. They won't have the ball as much as the Japanese, but I think, they're gonna have to. It's gonna be a difficult time for the Japanese to deal with direct play, Norwegian restarts. All that stuff is going to have a major impact on this game. But I still think that it wasn't by accident that the Japanese did what they did to the Spanish, and I think that they're going to be able to break down the Norwegians. But closer game, if it's a 1-0 game, I think Norway's got a chance on the start. But overall, it should be juice boxes to Japan. So boxes and safe.
All right. So Saturday 1 a.m. and then 4 a.m. and then Saturday night 10 p.m. You got 1 a.m., 4 a.m., and then 10 p.m. We got the Netherlands and South Africa. The discrepancy in times is like 1, 4, and then 10 p.m. I think it's 14, 16 in Australia, right? So it's crazy, but who do you got there?
Well, what happened in this tournament is you've had a chance to kind of know the unknowns of South Africa are kind of coming to the forefront now. The teams have had 3 games to analyze them against probably similar competition to what the teams like the Netherlands are used to. So I think that preparation, the results and the way they got the results against the Italians is going to be very helpful for the Dutch. I think the Dutch is one of the strongest team, if not the strongest team in the World Cup in this tournament. I think they find a way to beat the South Africans, but not easily by any means.
All right, and then Sunday, 5 a.m. and that's it. We'll preview the other games tomorrow. We got the soccer show, but Sunday, 5 a.m. Sweden and U.S. I wanted to get John Nelson. We'll touch on this game. Who do you got there? Because U.S. hasn't looked great, and look, her commentating has really ripped the U.S. for parting a 0-0 draw.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely ripped, but they should be criticized and critical of the situation. My thought is they're in a transition. They're in a transitional situation. I just don't think that they have that invincibility kind of. At York we call it a no chance mentality types team anymore, and I think that they've been not necessarily uncomfortable as far as their individual or group ability as far as playing, but I think they've been very, very uncomfortable with their emotional stability, their so to speak. Will it recover enough? And Sweden's been the opposite. Sweden's been very professional in their performances, and although a lot of it's come penalty spot. I don't think that they're going to get. I think that this is going to go down to a pace situation. I do think it's the Americans are the better team, but the Swedes are very prepared. I think this is going to go to a penalty situation because of the lack of fortitude for the Americans. The Americans will be the better team, are the better team in this situation, but it's good to see how this transitionary team reacts, and it'll be a good game. It'll be a great game. It'll be important for the Americans to establish themselves early, but finish that establishing idea. They just don't have that arrogance anymore. They don't have that swagger anymore. And then they're going to need that going forward.
All right, as you can hear in the background, you're busy being addy duty there. So, tomorrow for the soccer show, 12:15. That's Carmen. Don't tell everybody how to get a hold of him, but tune in tomorrow here 12:15 with Carmen, Giancarlo, and myself, Wilson, to preview Mondays, Tuesdays, round of 16 matchup. So far, final thought. So far, what did you think of the Women's World Cup?
I mean, the key factor that I read about and I heard about was that the German women were followed more than the men's Germany men's last game played. So the especially in Europe is massive. The interest, obviously, in the southern hemisphere is massive. So I think that it's been a great World Cup. It's been a great statement for the African nations, with South Africa, Morocco, Zambia doing what they've done, and Nigeria. It's been an amazing test of world football and how it's making its way in not making it's already there in the women's game, and fantastic to see that it's not the same old teams, but it's going to be an exciting tournament, as exciting as it has been. And there's been a lot of awe moments and a lot of what moments, and I think that's going to continue. And I won't be surprised if we don't see the U.S. getting that third.
They're not going to get their third. And I'll call John Nelson out tomorrow on it. But what a couple years for soccer. Last year World Cup, because it was delayed from 2020. This year Ladies World Cup. Next year the Euros, and then in 2026, Sako is going to lead the Canadian national team. BMO Field, yes. Hashtag the greatest coach. And by the way, tomorrow, I'm just going to give you a heads up. Your friend, Giancarlo Lino, is a little bit sad, crying. His goaltender, Buffon, has decided to retire.
No.
Giancarlo, yes, he decided to retire. He called up Manning, pleaded with him, get him for TFC, get him for TFC. And Manning said, well, Carmen never took him out to near us, not going to do it. There you go. Giancarlo is going to be teared up tomorrow. We're going to ask him about it. But thanks a lot. Stay tuned for more great programming here on the Fired Up Network, especially tomorrow on the soccer show at 12:15. Thanks, Carm.
See you guys.
And welcome to the Fired Up Network. Welcome to the flagship show of the Fired Up Network, Fired Up Live. And welcome to the newest member of the Fired Up Network. And we're so proud to have him on here. He's going to talk NFL and do a little wrestling, all right? Wrestling.
That's right.
You want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Gerald Bentley, and I am the host of Wrestling with Gerald Bentley, Wrestling with Sales. We're going to talk with a bunch of big names in pro wrestling. I was a former Morning Drive sports talk host in Cleveland, which is pretty relevant because the NFL season kicks off with the Hall of Fame game tomorrow. The Browns taking on the New York Football Jets, Jets.
All right, so let's touch on that before we talk about wrestling here.
Sure.
Let's have a new quarterback, very famous quarterback. What do you expect from that quarterback? Number 8 now, not number 12, because number 12 is saved under Jets history for a guy named Joe, not me. All right,
Yeah.
So go ahead. What do you think of Aaron Rodgers with the Jets?
Well, just a personal aside, my great-grandparents lived right across from where the Jets used to have training camp at Hofstra. And when I was little, I always followed the Jets too. And this is the first time the Jets have had a really high-end quarterback. And if you want to call Ken O'Brien a high-end quarterback, I guess Boomer Esiason. But a lot of pressure on Aaron Rodgers.
They also had Brett Favre.
Yeah, Brett Favre kind of towards the end.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure on Aaron Rodgers. He's trying to become only the third quarterback older than 39 to ever win a championship. Of course, Peyton Manning won, Tom Brady the other one. And you got to wonder, is it still there? Was the Jets team good enough all around with Robert Saleh's coaching that Aaron Rodgers can carry him over the top? Because they did have some horrendous quarterbacking last year.
They're not going to be over the top. They play my Buffalo Bills division. All right, so that's But what do you expect? Cleveland Browns. Let's the Jets Cleveland game 1 tonight, Thursday night here.
Yeah,
and basically expectations because Deshaun Watson's there in Cleveland, and Every year Cleveland starts off, oh, we're going to make the playoffs, we're going to do something, and then come November, end of November, around Thanksgiving, Cleveland's Cleveland. So,
Yeah. I
what do you
mean,
expect tonight?
there's a reason why LeBron was the person who had to bring the championship back to Cleveland,
Yeah.
because the Guardians, the former Indians, and the Browns just couldn't get it done. And, they mortgaged their future for Deshaun Watson. And after he got over the NFL suspension from a couple too many happy endings, he came back and he was okay, right? I mean, he was 3-3, completed about 60% of his passes, but just okay. He wasn't dynamic. This is going to be the first big time action he's had since 2020. He only played 6 games since 2020. That's a long time to not be active. So, two guys with a ton of pressure on him this year, Deshaun Watson and Aaron Rodgers. You get the big contract, that's great, but with big money comes big responsibilities. There's a ton of pressure on him. I don't think the Browns are going to be that good. I really don't.
What about the Jets?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the Bills are going to take them out. And, the Dolphins are quite good too. The Dolphins have a terrific offense. If Tua can stay healthy, Belichick's always going to be pesky. They're not going to be a horrible team in New England. So it's going to be hard, I think, for the Jets to come over the line. The question's going to be, how much will Aaron Rodgers and reunited with, according to Sean Payton, the worst head coach in the history of the National Football League, Nathaniel Hackett as his offense coordinator, will they be able to put it back together? And can the Jets have a Packers-like offense? If they can, they'll make the playoffs. If Rodgers doesn't stay healthy, they're right back to being the disaster that they were last year.
All right, so I'm going to reveal something here. The man you're seeing is going to cover the reigning, defending Super Bowl champion. You're out of Kansas City,
Yep.
Kansas City Chiefs, Pat Mahomes, and you have to fight for your right to party. And hopefully,
Party,
you're not
yeah.
going to party all the time there, but you're going to host a timeout for the Kansas City Chiefs weekly here on the Fired Up Network. I'm excited about that, even though I'm a
Yeah.
Bills fan. Anytime you get to a show about the reigning defending Super Bowl champions, it's not bad. But what do you expect from Kansas City this year?
I think the Chiefs they'll be right there. I think they win the division again. As here, to make a little wrestling analogy, to be the man, you got to beat the man, and they've just
Woo!
won divisions. Yeah, I don't see them losing the division now. It's always a coin flip, right? I mean, you saw it last year. The Bengals, when they're healthy with Joe Burrow leading them, the Bills with Josh Allen. Any given day, any one of those teams can beat the other one. So I think it's going to come down to who's the healthiest at the end of the season. But it's hard to bet against the Chiefs, right? Because you got Patrick Mahomes. He can make it work. It didn't matter that Tyreek Hill left. Their offense actually got better. Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be with the Patriots this year. And I think Sky Moore will step up. And I think Rashee Rice, the second round pick, will step up. And you can take a look for rookie free agent Justin Ross. He didn't play last year. He was injured coming out of Clemson. The guy's an athletic freak, and he's been making some great plays at training camp. You may see him step in and step up as a big-time receiver. So I think the Chiefs are going to be fine. The only drama really in training camp is whether Chris Jones is going to come in, and I'm sure he will at some point. I mean, you can't sit out the season. You never get the money back.
Yeah, he's not. Maybe 1 week, or maybe right at the start of the season there.
Yeah, I don't think he plays in preseason, but honestly, why would you play a defensive lineman in preseason anyways?
And nobody cares about, and they try to shorten it out the preseason, all right, because they add in an extra game or whatever. But it looks like they may add another game probably in a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
When do you think it's too much? An 18-game season? Well, right now it's 17. It looks like it's going to go to 18. Do you think they're going to go up to 20? Well,
No.
when do you think it's too much?
I think what you should do, if you go to 18 regular season games, get rid of the third exhibition game. Nobody significantly plays in it. And you can see the trend now. There's a lot of news right this week. Joe Burrow has calf strain. He's going to
Yeah.
miss 2 weeks. He's never played a snap in the preseason anyways. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yep.
They don't play
Tim
him.
Patrick gone all the year for Denver there, so
Yeah.
And the NFL, like I always talk with my friends and buddies about, before the season starts, there's several guys who the season's over already before the
Mhm.
season starts. It's
Uh,
never in any other sport. It's never like that.
Chiefs had 2 defensive backs go down. And yeah, and you look at the way that teams look at the preseason now. Anyone who watches the game tomorrow, the Hall of Fame game, you're not going to see Aaron Rodgers. If you do see him, it'll be for maybe 3 or 4
One
plays.
snap, yeah.
Deshaun Watson's not going to be out there. Nick Chubb's not going to be out there. Myles Garrett's not going to be out there. And the teams already know who they're going to start because they're doing 7-on-7, 11-on-11 drills 2 hours a day, every day in training camp. They don't need the exhibition games to get ready. And now that there's only one cut in the preseason, you don't even have to play for your job in exhibition week 1 or 2. They're just becoming kind of meaningless games. And I think the thing that would make sense is cut that down to 2 and then slide one more game to a regular season. It's weird that you can't be a 500 team, right?
Yeah, 10-7, 9-8. You can't be 500. All right,
Mm-hmm.
so again, he's going to do a Kansas City's Chiefs show, but I gotta ask you this, okay?
Sure.
We gotta go to wrestling here tonight. Tonight, we're on the flagship show of the Fired Up Network, Fired Up Live. You'll see your face again, and you're
Yeah.
interviewing an NWA wrestler. Can you tell everybody about that?
Yeah, I had a chance to sit down with the Mile High Magnum himself, Dak Draper. He's currently in the NWA. He's part of the tag team scene. He's also doing some singles wrestling. I believe he had a singles match coming up this week. Former WWE NXT wrestler, and he's based here in Kansas City as well. He was just in a Iron Man match for the Central States Wrestling Championship. So a guy that you'll see on a national level and has a good story because he started at the peak. He was recruited out of college into the WWE and then has built himself back up to get at that national level again with the NWA. So really interesting guy and talks about all the hard work that goes into it.
All right, so that's going to follow in the next couple segments here, and also I have to ask you this: on Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
it's SummerSlam, arguably the second or third biggest premier live, not pay per view,
Sure.
premier live event of the WWE. Now, are we going to acknowledge Roman Reigns, or are we going to acknowledge his cousin Jey Uso? And that's sort of the main event. Who do you got in that one?
I think it's time for the tribal chief to change hands. He's crossed the 1,000-day mark. I think it's time for, even though I have the shirt on, the
Hold
needle
on.
mover, Roman Reigns, I think it's time for him to take a step back and for Jey Uso to step up.
All right, there are rumors that another bloodline member or another cousin is going to show up. It's like I said, second or third premier live event, and it's DJ Dwayne Johnson. People know him as The Rock.
The Rock,
Right?
sure.
The Rock, reminiscence of the president of the provinces of Canada, myself. All right, do
Mm-hmm.
you think The Rock shows up on Saturday?
I don't. They've been talking about that now for a couple of years. He was going to be the main event competitor at WrestleMania, and I think really, if you think about it, if The Rock does come in, it would have to just be an appearance. I can't see him having a match because he would have to lose. The Rock's not going to be there full time, and Roman Reigns has been carrying the load. Jey Uso's been there every week. He's been main event Jay. I don't think you get anything outside of a quick pop for The Rock. It would be neat though. I mean,
Or
you
they may
never
be
know.
coming up for WrestleMania, right? So
Yeah.
you never know there. And of course, one more match I'm going to touch on with you, and then we'll conclude it. Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, up against
Mm-hmm.
Brock Lesnar, and Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare documentary just unveiled
Just hit Peacock.
for, for superb documentary there. Cody Rhodes definitely and bring back memories of Dusty Rhodes and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But who do you got between Cody and Brock?
Well, I think Cody wins. I think he's marching towards WrestleMania. I do think at some point he will be your, can't be undisputed because they have 2 titles, but he will be your WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I think it's coming.
And it is probably coming. All right. And for that matter, Dark Side of the Ring this week had a great show with Bam Bam Bigelow, about Bam Bam Bigelow. Really, really touching, crying, everything like that. Bam Bam, a great person there.
Mm-hmm.
But Gerald, tell everybody how to get a hold of you social media wise. And don't forget, throughout the NFL season, he's going to do a Kansas City Chiefs show, and he'll have, beginning tonight, Wrestling with Sales interviews with wrestlers and everything like that. But tell everybody how they could get a hold of you social media wise.
Sure. The easiest thing is go to YouTube and just search either Gerald Bentley or Wrestling with Sales. That'll bring you to the channel, and you can see all the previous shows on there. You can also go to LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, just my name. So
Just your name.
really easy.
All right. So thanks a lot. Stay tuned for that interview with Draper. Thanks a lot, Gerald.
Absolutely.
Welcome to the IP Famba Show. The Famba Show is going down right here in Washington, D.C., where I'm in the lab, and my special guest today, man, this was my teammates from the Chi. We were Chicago Bulls getting it done, and he's still getting it done on and off the court, mainly off the court now. We got to talk. We'll get into it with him, but I got to bring my dog into the building, Mr. Eddie Curry.
my man. Nah, thanks for having me, JY. Yeah, man. Those Bulls days was something else, man. I apologize. Yeah, no, I'm just saying, thanks for having me, bro. You know, you told me about the show. I'm like, of course, I gotta come get a dog some love, bro.
There you go.
Yeah.
You were getting into the Chicago Bulls, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, just I was young, fresh out of high school. So you probably caught me at a really, really immature time. So, if I gave you any headaches, I apologize for that. But no, man, you were always great to me, a great vet, man. Someone I always look to as inspiration, both on and off the court, man. So I salute you, brother.
Man, listen, you were never a knucklehead. Let's just get that cleared up. You were young, you were learning. I think that, you left a lot of things on the table.
Yeah.
Let's say that. There's a difference between a knucklehead and somebody just leaving stuff on the table. You were just leaving things on the table. And those are the kind of things that when I was a vet and I'm sitting back and look at you, all I could say to you every day was, brother, you are so talented. That's what I just kept trying to feed that into your spirit, because what I was seeing, I was like, this is incredible. Coming out of high school is one of the hardest things that people really don't realize in terms of the game of basketball, because you're stepping into a man's game, but you have youthful athleticism that's like unparalleled. And you had the size to compete with any of the top centers. I'm talking about anybody from Shaq to everybody at that time period, which is phenomenal. And not only were you competing, you were dominating but you just didn't understand what you were doing. I
had no clue.
I saw that you just you couldn't put it together in that fourth quarter after you already scored 20, 10, and 5. Like, then that's when it was like, okay, here's money. And I was just like, oh, he don't know. He got to go to his counter move now.
Yeah. No, you're right. That's 100% right. It's crazy. It's almost like watching a young player is almost like for an NBA player, for like a vet, watching these young players now, it's like being a parent. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could see your full potential. I know exactly what you got to do, how to implement it. I just can't play it for you. You know what I'm saying? And that's and that's just, I know that's a lot of that sounds like exactly what you're saying. It's hard to teach that, especially like you said, you got youth working against you, you got immaturity working against you, you got just the different just the newness of it all. I wasn't used to the NBA. I wasn't used to the spotlight that was on me, and being in your home city. Nothing can really prepare you for that. And I think it was so, new at the time. Of course, you had KG who did it, maturity. Just took a awakening to really understand it, man. You don't have all the answers, man, and you really got to keep growing and try to become a better player, you know. And at the same time, you know how it is, man, when you just just competitive, man. You just feel like, man, I could dog anybody. I just want to dog anybody.
Including the 4-point shot.
How about the White Mamba?
How about
in the starting lineup?
Oh,
Rick Barry switching things.
The Scalabrini-Jackson matchup that you have been
Waiting
craving.
for. The key to the game is who wins that matchup.
No question about it. Frank Nitti drops it off. There's Curry. I said question mark. How about Eddie Curry? Nifty footwork and finishes with a big presence inside for the killer threes. Nitti, Steven Jackson. Curry, offensive rebound, up over McDonald. 4 early points for the killer threes.
Mindset you want to go out with is just put them back on their heels early. Flare screens in that time. Scal able to clear enough distance on the baseline and knock in that little 15-foot jump shot.
Nitti into Curry. All 6 early on for the killer threes from Eddie Curry. Curry wants it on McDonald. And now Curry backing in. Takes a couple of good pops. Curry finishes. That's 8 early for Eddie Curry. Killer threes in ball hog. Curry 8 of the first 12 for the killer threes. Curry in tight.
Bounce pass that came right into the shooting pocket of Stevenson.
4 straight for Deshaun Stevenson. Won an NBA title with the Mavs.
Man, that's that boy, Eddie Curry. This is the Famba Show, and we welcome him back, Eddie Curry. He's talking hoops. He's talking about his journey through his athletic journey, talking about Chicago. Let's get into when you got traded from Chicago to New York. You're going from one big city to another even bigger city, if that's even accomplished. You know, Chicago being one of the biggest cities in the United States. What was that transition like?
Man, JY, that was a whirlwind, bro. Like, especially for me, it was an emotional time because I wasn't ready to leave, man. Like, I had a irregular heartbeat that kind of sidelined me and basically forced the Bulls into making a tough decision. Forced us both into making a tough decision. It's kind of put on the table for me to take a DNA test. And I told them I didn't want to do that. And basically the solution for them was to find a sign and trade because if I didn't, I was gonna have to sit out that following year, kind of be marked as, you know, this medical issue. And that's something that I didn't want because I was, you know, very confident, you know, throughout just seeing doctors and talking to specialists that, you know, I was more than healthy and able to play. So, you know, I had to move on from Chicago. Happened really abruptly. It's right when we was turning everything around. First time we had been to the playoffs since I was there.
Right.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, that was really, really tough, man. And, I mean, literally down to the 0 hour, like we did the deal and I met the Knicks in training camp. So, I mean, it literally was, you know, it was crazy. It was crazy to say the least. But you know, I appreciate the Knicks and I appreciate the Bulls, you know, for the opportunity. Of course, as a youngster, it's like I had a lot of resentment for Chicago and just I kind of felt like, you know, it kind of forced my hand to do something that I really didn't want to do. But I think overall, just as a man, I think it definitely helped mold me and shape me to become who I am today. Just made me a strong individual, and somebody who just realizes that you got to always kind of look at the bright side. And beyond looking at the bright side, you also got to work to pull yourself through because it's not going to just happen on its own.
Man, it doesn't just happen on its own. And the decisions that we make kind of mold us and get us into those types of positions. I was obviously in New York right before you got there. And then, you know, decided to retire right as you were arriving to the New York Knicks. So I was happy that they got you. I actually got a call about you from Isaiah Thomas and whether or not they could get you to New York.
Wow.
Me being your former teammate. It's funny how those kind of things always
Yeah.
But you know, you said something profound in the fact that, you know, these kind of decisions and things like that. But I want to get to one of the important decisions that you made when you decided to marry your wife, Patrice. And talk a little bit about, you know, that journey through marriage and you know, being young, but also finding a good wife. Let's talk about it. Most guys don't find them. They hard to find.
For sure. Or you find it and mess it up, right? And I think that was definitely the path that I was on. You know, I knew for a fact that I found my wife when I found her. Like, I don't know how I knew, but it was just she was everything that I needed, you know, even though I fought it a lot. You know, I fought her, you know, trying to pry into my business and making sure that I was on top of things. I'm like, no, I'm on it. You know, let me just handle this. Let me be the man. Let me, you know, let me, you know, but it's that, you know, the whole time she's in my ear, like, nah, we should check this out. Nah, we should bring some outside people in and look at stuff. Nah, you need to take your money and put it over here and have. It was always that type of thing. It was always that voice in the back of my head and sitting right next to me. But I was just so like, nah, I got this. You know, just that cocky thing, that athlete bravado, that man thing, you know. Yeah. And you know, and she just, you know, she's always right. I hate to admit it, but she's always right. And then just you know, things that I did, you know, just growing up as a young man, bad decisions that I was making, you know, just putting our relationship in jeopardy, putting our family in jeopardy. Clearly wasn't worth it, but you know, it's just some of those things, man, you just work through as a young kid, man. Dealing with the attention from the ladies and things like that, and being able to balance everything out, and you know, but through it all, I knew for a fact that, like, man, I want to be with her. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm just one of those guys that was lucky enough that she stayed through it all. You know, and it took a lot of work to get to where we are today, the trust to build it all back, and for her to be able to know that, you know, I'm gonna always do right by us in this relationship and this family. But I couldn't imagine my journey without her. You know what I'm saying? And I'm always really, you know, hard on myself and really just willing to apologize even when I don't have to apologize now, just because of, you know, so much just turbulence that I brought to this relationship. So, you know, she's my rock, man, for sure. Like, wherever I go, she's got to go. I mean, I'm here in Chicago now, you know, for an appearance. Everybody knows, like, whatever I do, I got to bring Patrice, to the point where, like, they like, you know, if they booking me a first class seat, I'm like, don't book me a first class. Give me 2 exit rows. You know, there you go. Like that. So that's just kind of how we roll. You know, it's just really good to have that person, man. And throughout this journey, man, you have so many relationships, and you see so many. I've seen the beginning and the end of so many relationships, you know, along the way. And it's the craziest thing, you know. That's a fact. You could vividly remember going to people's weddings and things like that. And then you see these people 10, 12, 20 years later in some cases. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm on my second wife. Or, oh yeah, we got divorced back. I'm like, what? You guys got divorced? You know what I'm saying? Right. And I'm talking about, I mean, these are, you know, Jay, like, a lot of these dudes spend millions on weddings and things like that. Man, facts. Flying in singers and all of that, just for it to be over, and you gotta, you know, split your stuff down down the middle, and it's a lot, man. It's a lot. And that's why, like, that's like a big part of me speaking to the youth now. I know I'm kind of jumping ahead, but like, kind of what I do now is go and talk to all of the players about financial awareness and asset protection. And just how important a prenuptial agreement is. I mean, I talk about prenups and the importance of it, but I also talk about the importance of self-control and discipline. You know, trying to use that same self-control and discipline that got you to the league. Right. That's the same type of effort that it's going to take to keep evolving your relationship and making it stronger, and make sure that you're doing everything that you can to make sure you have a prosperous relationship. Because in the end, man, our basketball careers go by so fast, man. It's like a blink of an eye, you know what I'm saying? You look back and it's like, damn, you know, I look at my oldest son who'll be 22 this year. What? He'll be 22 this year. Little Eddie will be 22 this year. Wow. You know, I had him in high school. So it's like, he's always that marker of, when you were born, I was just drafted. So you know, that's really my only sense of, like, how long I really have been in the league and how long it's been since I got drafted. because in my mind, that happened just yesterday, bro.
Yeah.
But as I'm looking at my 22-year-old, like, no, that really didn't happen yesterday. You know,
Right.
That was two decades ago. So
correct.
It's crazy, man. And to know that my wife has been there through it all, man, all the ups and downs, all of the crazy stuff, man, it's truly a blessing, bro. I can't say that it's all me. It's all God, bro, because I didn't give her any reason to stick around. I really didn't.
Man, you are watching the Famba Show, and we are getting to the nitty gritty with Eddie Curry. He's dropping nuggets, dimes. I mean, this is just, I feel like he's Magic Johnson throwing out these assists. I hope the youth out there, I hope the parents, I hope the people in relationships are paying attention, because this isn't just NBA talk. This is life. This is life. You know, we see this happening on our level as well as on the lower levels. And, you know, I've been married for 23 years to the same woman, Nicolette, and I can echo exactly what Eddie is preaching in terms of finding a good woman and going through that journey, because it's a battle when you're at the top of your, career, and somebody's playing the background trying to keep you out of trouble and trying to keep you out of harm's way. But they got to battle with you. They got to battle with us, because we're saying, no, we got this. You just, play your position type of deal. And it was just, you marry and you find that rock where someone is willing to wait on you and wait for you to get to your level of consciousness, where you're looking and saying, wait a minute, you done battled through all this? Wait, oh no, you're not going nowhere. That's when you're both, on the same plane. And that's what I hear from you, Eddie. And I just salute you and your wife, because Black excellence starts with two individuals making a decision that they're gonna hold down a family. And when that happens, hey, the laws of the laws of this universe don't like it.
No,
but
they don't.
You mentioned God. You mentioned, our Lord and Savior. So he loves it, and that's what he's here to help everybody do. So I appreciate you bringing that to the fold, man. Let's talk a little bit about, retirement, right? And then saying, you know what? I'm not actually retired. I'm going to go play 3-on-3.
Yeah. I mean, I think Ice Cube, what he did was amazing with forming the Big Three. For guys, I know at my age, I knew going full court was not really a thing that I wanted to do again. That time has absolutely passed me by. But half court, I mean, it allows you to still get out there and give that competitive itch a scratch. You know what I mean? So I think that's great. Our fans don't just disappear. People who supported us, they don't just die off. Of course they move on and have other favorite players and this and that. But I mean, a lot of what I've realized throughout my time being retired is that these people really get a kick out of, really get a real natural joy out of seeing you again, whether it's in person or just hooping on the court in any capacity. So I think Ice Cube does a great job at really creating that platform for guys to, first get some nice money over a short amount of time, and also, like I said, scratch that itch, man, of wanting to compete and connecting with your fans again, your fan base. So I think that's great. And he does it in a way that doesn't allow your body to be broken all the way down. I mean, I still have my aches and pains, and my knees were still a little bit, shaky a few days after that. But I mean, you get a whole week in between. So I mean, for me, it was a beautiful thing for sure.
Right, now you know how the NFL players be feeling. Like, brother, you get a week off.
Right.
You're good.
Right.
Look, you got to recover.
Need that whole week, right? When I just start feeling a little bit normal again. Oh, gotta go play again. So,
gotta go play again.
Yeah, it's one of them things. You guys see these superhumans going up and down the court at top speed for 48 minutes. Like I tell my sons this. Everybody has aspirations of being in the league, and I'm just like, you got to be able to do something at 100 miles an hour, bro. Like, you have to go 100% at all times. These guys you see on this court are running as fast as they can. They're jumping as high as they can on every single play. Like, and that's how you got to tune your body up to do. So, I mean, just the wear and tear that causes, man, it's tremendous. And especially you playing a big man position, you down there banging, and it seems like we got to run the furthest. We run it from under the basket to under the basket.
That's a fact.
Run it to the top of the key to defend pick and rolls, and like what? And then you still got to do your thing when they drop you the ball. Like, I mean, I would say we got the toughest position in the game. The big is probably the toughest period. You know what I'm saying?
But listen, and then talk about it, because not only did you have to run from baseline to baseline, but what happens when they say come up and set a screen? Now you got to go back up.
You got to go back up. Got to go back up.
Then go back down.
Come on, JY. You know,
bro. Stop.
You know how it was, bro. Like, man. And this is before the age of, we just gonna switch everything. No, it wasn't really no switching. It was, you gotta contain, or you gotta trap, or you gotta blue it. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot you gotta deal with, and all while going 100 miles an hour. You know what I mean? And then you still gotta, like, I wasn't really there to play defense. In my mind, I was here to play offense. So on top of trying to contain it as best I could, I had to still run down the court, be the first one down, so I have a good chance of getting the basketball. And I'm trying to bury you under the basket, so I'm literally running from the basket, under the basket to under the basket. Then my guard might call me out for a high pick and roll or a side pick and roll. So it's people don't understand, man. It's a lot. It's a lot, man.
I remember playing with you in Chicago, and I mean, we were winning. Like we only lost the playoff. We didn't make the playoffs that year by one game. It was a one game thing, right? And I used to be like, yo, we had Jamal Crawford, you, Tyson Chandler, and Antonio Davis. I was like, there's no reason why we shouldn't be like killing everybody. And I was like, yo, Eddie Curry, all we got to get him to do is to come over on this weak side, a couple of times.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh my goodness. Like when you would come over and block shots, I'd just be like, yo, he did that every play. We'd be unstoppable. But it's to your point. You're learning this. You're learning. You didn't go to college. That brings up a good point. You're watching the Famba Show with JYD. My guest, Eddie Curry. Stay tuned because he's getting ready to get into, if he did go to college, what college would he go to? Eddie, now, if you were in college, if you, NIL today, with all these new rules, Hunter Dickinson, Michigan, $2 million a year to go to Kansas.
Jeez.
For 2 years, $2 million in college. You on campus, you big man on campus, you getting a check and you're going to class. So right now, give me your top 4 schools for Eddie Curry that you would consider. So we don't have to get into which one you would choose, but if you had to choose between 4 schools, who would make your Final 4?
I would say Duke. I would say USC. I would say maybe UCLA.
UCLA. He likes the palm trees.
It's a lot of money out. It's a lot of money out there, baby. It's a lot of money out there.
He went East Coast and went straight to the West Coast with 2 schools that are within a 5-mile radius. That's saying something. But those are up and down schools, right?
They are
running schools.
They are. I think my 4th would be Michigan, just because he
left out that center school that could have been that.
But I ain't gonna lie.
Right there, woo!
If the late great John Thompson was there, I would absolutely go there. That was absolutely one of the places I wanted to go to, like Patrick Ewing, and that's definitely one of the places I would have absolutely wanted to go to for sure.
Right.
But now, like looking back right now, just looking at the landscape right now, NIL deals. And I'm looking at what would have kept me from going and trying to chase the bag to get my family out the projects, and not projects, but just get us to a higher situation, a better situation. I mean, I think I would have, like I said, I would have had to be in LA because it's a lot of money. I think it's a lot of opportunities for some good NIL deals out there.
They do.
I've always just had a love for Michigan, period. My high school jerseys and uniforms were similar to those. And my favorite player ever was like Chris Webber. I always want to beat Chris Webber between Chris Webber and Rasheed Wallace. Those were always like my favorite players. Jay Rose, one of my all-time favorite teammates, the long Michigan shorts, the black socks. Like I really like Michigan. I would have
left-handed assassin.
Left-handed assassin, bro.
Shout out to Jalen and Chris.
Shout out Jay and Chris. But yeah, man. And then like I said, man, I Duke, just the historic nature, the historic school that Duke is. And like I said, I'm thinking NIL, and I'm thinking me having the ability to come out of high school. What would have kept me from what would have kind of said, okay, I'll put the brakes on that right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kind of like what a lot of these ladies are doing now. Angel and all of them choosing college and choosing to be able to set their futures up, before taking that next level. So I think
shout out to Angel Reese. Shout out to Caitlin Clark. Oh my, that girl. I'm watching her every time she comes on.
Every time.
Parking lot. Caitlin Clark is a beast.
Beast, bro. Beast.
Yeah, they making college basketball, women's college basketball, so fun to watch. Because they're doing some amazing things. And NIL is here to stay. And speaking of NIL, before we actually let you go, we got to make sure they know this is the Famba Show. We're here with Eddie Curry, and Eddie's got a NFT on IP Famba app. In order to get to it, you got to go link on the QR code right there in the top left-hand corner of the screen, sign up for IP Famba, and type in Eddie Curry, and go to the marketplace where you can purchase his NFT. Money goes to Eddie Curry. He's done such amazing things, and we're going to get into right now. What are you doing off the court? Because I know you're busy. You're doing appearances. You're still world renowned as always. What are you doing, and what are you getting into now?
Right now, my passion is financial awareness. I realize that, I do a lot of meetings with the NBA right now. And just in talking to the guys, I realize that there's still a need for financial awareness. There's still a need for checks and balances, and for guys just being knowledgeable, just putting that knowledge out there for our guys, man. I'm not too familiar with the NBA, with the NFL and other leagues, but I know in our league in particular, man, we still need a little bit of help in that area, just to really kind of move away from that, that black cloud of guys fumbling the bag or, mismanaging funds. A lot of guys just look at it, the outside world looks at it as, guys just spend all their money. Oh, they got to have 10 cars. They got to have this and that. It's like, no, that's not the case. You know what I'm saying? I think those 10 cars aren't what do it. It's the constant bleed from everywhere else. Just the money that gets moved to other accounts that we don't see because it's just so much coming in, and we're always being told to focus on hoop, and you're always worried about the next bag, the next bag, that you don't really take the time to really understand what's in front of you. I know for me, a lot of what I dealt with coming up was just putting the responsibility of my finances in someone else's hands. And no one's ever gonna, like they say, no one's gonna treat your stuff or treat anything like you would treat it. And the same holds true to finances, man. Like, really taking the time, really understanding that we got some really good tools out here now that you can use to keep track of everything that's going on. I know when I was first coming in, we didn't have Cash App, we didn't have Zelle, we didn't have, things
that's
like
a
that.
Fact. Man,
it was
you
different.
couldn't send somebody $10.
You couldn't.
Right there.
You could. Yeah,
man,
you couldn't.
They had to blow up your phone,
Yeah.
voicemail messages.
Yeah. Like, just think about like finding an ATM machine. Now you could cash a check on your phone now. Like, it's like, come on, bro. Like, you used to have to sit down with a banker to do everything. So
that's right.
It was a lot easier to, if you were to be one of those shady guys, or, a lot of times it's not, I won't even say it's about a shady accountant or things like that. It's just a temptation, bro, when you got that kind of money coming across your desk and nobody's watching you. You know,
Right.
a lot can be solved just by putting a couple extra eyes on somebody. A lot can be solved by just being that final signature that has to be, you know, put to paper or electronically signed before any dime can come out. You know, so
Right.
I mean, that's just some of the things I kind of talk about with guys. And then obviously with you know, social media, just the importance of um, just keeping your image clean. A lot of what I do today, a lot of the relationships I have today are because I was real friendly with people. A lot of the harm that I've done in my life, I've done to myself. I didn't harm other people. I harmed
Right.
myself. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit different. You know, I wasn't known for being this jackass out here. I was just kind of known as a guy who kind of got in his own way. Where social media can kind of show a different side of you where it's like, oh, this guy's a jackass. This guy's somebody who I don't want to align myself with. And you end up losing the ability to earn outside of basketball, which, like I said, basketball is just such a short window in our lives. And it's just so many more opportunities out there if you can keep a clean image, you know?
Yeah, no, that's a fact. Man, this has been a great show. You've been dropping nuggets all day, man. We could be here all day because there's so much knowledge that you're sharing with the kids, with the parents, with your fans, with my fans. I got to have you back on the show again because we're gonna have to get back into some other stuff. But it's always a pleasure, my brother, man. I salute you and your family. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep being that shining light, man. You're a light in the community. You're a light for, you know, minorities. You are a light for our, you know, our community of NBA alumni. You are a light, bro. So I just want to say, here are your flowers, man.
My man.
Eddie Curry, baby.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for all that you do, brother. Always an inspiration on the business side. Like, you know, I mean, anything I'm like, JY, I talk to you, bro.
That's a fact.
I'm entering a new space in my life. On the business side, I just kind of want to know, you know, so I just appreciate you always being there for me, man. And I mean, just being a positive representative for as long as I can remember, bro. You always been that positive representative of what an NBA player should be. So I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, brother. IP Fama, baby.
And welcome to the Fired Up Network. Welcome to the flagship show of the Fired Up Network, Fired Up Live. Welcome to CFL No Yards with the Hall of Famer, OSG Sports from Atlanta, John Nelson. Let's get to it. By the way, John has requested tomorrow. The soccer show begins at 12, not at 12:15, 12. All right, John, I'll give you a heads up. We're going to, because Giancarlo has wanting to talk about the favorite goaltender who retired, Buffon. So we're going to give Giancarlo's treatment, or a little bit of treatment. And
going to be an entire show on Gigi Buffon. I know how this goes.
Yeah, 12 minutes. All right, let's get to the Canadian football. Believe it or not, we're week 9. We're week 9 of the Canadian Football League. And tonight, of course, starts the NFL Hall of Fame game. We won't talk about the Jets in Cleveland because it's a snore fest. You should be watching Fired Up Live. Shouldn't be watching the NFL preseason game, especially if it's the first game of the season. All right, let's get to week 9 beginning tonight, 8:30. You should be watching that one. Well, maybe after 10, after we finish. BC comes in 6-1 in Winnipeg, 5-2. BC destroyed Winnipeg before. Who are you calling this one?
Wow. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Winnipeg. I think it's gonna be a tight one. You know, you had the last time out. I know that the Lions had a really impressive defensive effort against Zach Collaros and the Bombers, but I think that the home advantage will give it to Zach and the Bombers this time. So I think it'll be a split so far with the 2 games this year. I'll go with Winnipeg at home, but not by a lot.
28-24 Winnipeg.
That sounds about right. I'll take it.
Friday, 9 p.m. The undefeated, till they be defeated. The Great Cup champions, Toronto Argonauts, travel to Calgary to take on the Stamps. Argos come in at 6-0. The Stamps are 2-5. Are they going to be 2-6? I'm not going to ask you. They're going to be 2-6, and for the first time ever in the Toronto Argonaut history, they're going to be 7-0.
They've got the biggest thing, though, is that they've got to improve on the offensive numbers. Last time out in Touchdown Atlantic, when they beat the Green Riders, only had 200 net yards of offense. I think they get it done, and you got to think about the Stamps. We're going to be talking about their schedule over the next month. They face Toronto twice, the Lions and the Bombers. That's their next 4 games. It's going to be a tough stretch, but obviously I think that you and I both agree that the Double Blue get this one done.
All right, Saturday, August 5th. You're going to be watching this game at Saturday for you sports fans. It begins 1 a.m. with Switzerland and Spain for the Women's World Cup. 4 a.m. another game, and 10 p.m. another game. Then we have SummerSlam from Detroit, and then we have Jake Paul boxing Nate Diaz. So Saturday, and a UFC event also. But Saturday, 7 p.m. 3-3 Montreal up against Hamilton, 3-4. Hamilton could be now 500 with a win.
I think it goes to Montreal. Obviously, the Ticats, you think they're going to go back to Taylor Powell at QB after the injury to Bo Levi Mitchell. Alouettes come in looking for their first win streak of the season, had a big defensive performance last time out, holding Calgary to 6 field goals. No touchdowns, 6 field goals. Obviously, your juice boxers are leaning toward Montreal. Ticats are only 1-2 at home this year, so I'm going to go with Montreal.
This is the game we're going to disagree on. So far, we're 2-2, but disagree on. I think Hamilton comes up big. Hamilton wins a nail-biter, maybe a field goal, maybe 4 points. Hamilton shows that they're still alive in the Eastern Division. Montreal's good, don't get me wrong, but I give the badge to Hamilton just because they're playing at Tim Hortons Field, and I like Timbits. All right. Sunday, 7 p.m., 3-4 Ottawa versus 3-4 Saskatchewan. Games in Saskatchewan. This can be a nail-biter as well.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with the Green Riders in this one. I like what I'm seeing out of Mason Fine as he's getting adjusted to life in the Canadian Football League. Lighting it up for over 300 yards seems to be the norm for him, and I think they're going to need every yard of that in this game against Ottawa. Once again, you know, Red Blacks defense, second in the league in picks. Brandon Dandridge has 4 of them. I think that Brandon probably gets at least one more interception, but I think Mason Fine throws for a lot of yards. I think that this game probably will have the most points of the weekend in it, but I think Saskatchewan gets it done with at home against Ottawa.
I'm going to touch on a team who has a bye week this week, but they fired offensive coordinator Edmonton. I've lost a historic number. They play next week, Thursday, against Winnipeg in Edmonton. I believe the Edmonton Elks, who, by the way, will unveil next Thursday a new logo on their helmet, Indigenous and all that cool looking logo. I don't know if you've seen it or anything like that. Very cool looking logo. I believe Edmonton will get off the schneid and finally win. But I digress. I'll wait till next week. But what do you say?
No, I think you know. Do you get a new helmet bump? I don't know, but it's. I mean, because we talk about new coach bump, those kinds of things. Do you get a new gear bump? I don't know. Edmonton's in a world of hurt right now, and for the fans in Edmonton, that's who I feel for the most, and obviously the players and the coaches, because you know they're working every single day, and they're trying to do their job as best they can. But at the end of the day, it doesn't end up on the balance sheet with a win, and you feel for the fans that go to Commonwealth. You feel for the Elk fans that have been there through thick and thin, and they've been through all of this. This could be one of the. By the time we're done, I mean, it could be a historic season for the wrong reasons in Edmonton. But you really do feel for the fans in a situation like this.
All right, and since we're talking football and we mentioned the start of NFL preseason, let's get to it. Who do you like in this one? The New York Football Jets, led by a new quarterback, number 8, not number 12. Nobody's going to take Joe's number. By the way, Joe. Okay, come on. All right, so number 8, Aaron Rodgers, up against sort of not a new quarterback, but now playing the first year, Deshaun Watson with Cleveland. I know they're going to have probably one snap, but who do you like between the Jets and Cleveland tonight?
I'll go with the Jets tonight. Juice Box, our friends with the Juice Boxes have the Jets at a -135. I don't anticipate a whole lot of points being scored. So, frankly, if you're looking for something in this one, looking at your totals, it'll start to flip on you at 34.5. 34.5 is a plus 108. I don't know if it gets to 36, because say 38. 38 is 21-17. I don't think it gets there. 38's a plus 169 on the over, minus 238 on the under. I'm probably looking at something 17. Well, 17-13. You get 2 touchdowns. I mean, this is going to be literally like 33 and a half. And so if you're looking for the under at 33 and a half, that's a dead even plus 100. The over at 33 and a half, so minus 108. So I'm thinking 17, 14, 17, 16, 20, 16, somewhere in there. This will not make 40 points on any kind of scale.
20-13. There you go.
Yeah.
20-13.
I could
33
see that.
exactly, smackaroo and all that. But the start of the NFL preseason, why do they play the preseason? Why they play regular season? Because everybody knows everybody's going to be circling the wagons come February 11th when my president of provinces of Canada and Buffalo, Ontario, Quebec, New York, remember, make it to the Super Bowl. John, tell everybody, hold on, I'm talking to producer in my ear here. All right.
The Buffalo, Ontario, Quebec, and New York. All right.
Go ahead. Tell everybody how they could get a hold of you social media-wise.
Social media right there at OSG Nelson on the Twitters, and you can also download the OSG Sports app and the Soccer Down Here app's available on iOS and Android. On Android, you go to the Google Play Store. iOS, you go to the Spreaker app. SP is like speaker with an R in the middle of it. Go to Spreaker, do a Soccer Down Here search and an OSG search, OSG Sports search. That's how you link to our content there. Google Play Store, immediate download for OSG Sports and Soccer Down Here. That's book number 6, Noble Strong, Lessons in Destiny. You can pick that up at Amazon, Amazon.com. Do either a John Nelson, Jon John, or a Nobles Strong search. You can pick that up. That's book number 6. And if you reach out to me directly, I've got some books here in Office HD where I can sign them and I can personalize them for you, kind of like that guy has in his office for guys that haven't yet to figure out how to drive by the office of the Fired Up Network and get their personalized copies of the books.
By the way, John Nelson's number, in case you're wondering, is 717. Don't bother me. All right. So that's his number, and he'll be back here tomorrow at noon for the soccer show. Thanks a lot, John. And welcome to the Fired Up Network. Welcome to the flagship show of the Fired Up Network, Fired Up Live. Welcome to Ballin' with Captain Canada, Drew Ebanks. Wait a minute. Alex Campbell here with me, Fired Up Alex. Alex, you see this guy's bald. He lost a bet to Joe. He lost a bet. Or you know, Alex, first of all, yesterday or Tuesday was International Girlfriend's Day, all right? I want to wish a belated happy Girlfriend's Day to my girlfriend, the one and only Patricia. Happy Girlfriend's Day. Alex, do you want to say anything to yours?
Yeah. I'll do the same. Fantastic wife of 13 years, Amy Campbell. I wouldn't be able to be here or pretty much do anything else without her. I'd be lost in the world. So.
And Drew, I'm not going to say anything, but Drew lost a bet. That's why he had to shave his head bald to the. I don't know if it's girlfriend. I don't know if it's friend and all that. Drew, do you want to elaborate on this?
Yeah, we just had a little challenge there to grow it. You guys all saw my hair growing. I was trying to get to 2 inches. My boy Adrian.
He
2 inches on the hair.
For this. He left me open for this.
This is a family channel.
To get to 2 inches.
My hair did not get to 2 inches. Relax yourself. And I got an inch and a half on the hair, and I lost the bet, had to shave it down. But it's not bald. It's low, and it grows back quick, man. I'm like a chia pet. Just put a little water on it.
I would say that, yeah, a chia pet, all right? A chia pet. But Drew, we're going to talk about CDBL, but this weekend also is Caravana weekend. All right,
Drew.
Yes.
Big one.
Are you preparing? Because Alex doesn't know what we're talking about. But can you give
Oh,
a
stop.
glimpse of what you shake and what you move on Carabana Week, a world-renowned Carabana
Nah,
Week out here
I
in
don't
Toronto?
shake. I just walk. I walk and look. I'm too
No,
old
no,
for that crap.
that's a lie,
Too old
Alex.
for
That's a
that.
lie. I have video footage of Drew Evanks shaking. I don't know what it is, but he's shaking something. All right, that's it.
We'll be
That's
down
the
there.
truth.
Put it this way. We'll be down there having fun. Shout out Jamal McGlory. He's with the Revelers. That's his band, and he'll have a band down there. And I think Sam's going to be down there with him. Ibrahim from Playground fame and Aero Solutions, Aero Workplace Solutions. So,
And Scarborough
yeah, it's going
Shooting
to be great.
Stars. Come on.
Sorry?
And Scarborough Sam
And the
Ibrahim.
Scarborough Shooting Stars. Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is Carabana weekend. The whole of the NBA, celebrities, rap, music, they're going to be up here. There's normally the OVO Fest, but they're not doing that anymore. I know maybe they'll revitalize it, but nonetheless, Toronto Pro-Am's here as well this weekend, and last weekend was incredible for our Canadian NBAers. You had Dylan Brooks, Eugene Omarui, Leonard Miller. Who else was playing there? Nikhil Alexander Walker, Andrew Nemard. Like, it was insane.
All right, stop name dropping. Stop name dropping. All right. Look, again, belated happy Girlfriend's Day to my girlfriend and Alex. Of course, look, I say that and Alex disappears. All right, let's
Alex is done.
Yeah, Alex is done like you. All right, CEBL playoffs. Playoffs.
Relax.
Why? It's the playoffs. What do you mean, relax? It's the playoffs, all right, Drew? You need to relax. You and Baller, you're getting ready for Carabana. I know you. Come on. I don't know. What's that dance in Carabana? In Spanish, they say salsa. What's the main dance for Carabana? Come on.
Well, according to like Carnival Trinidad, which is where it kind of started from. I mean, Brazil, then Trinidad, which whining. You whine up on someone. It means you dance behind them.
So do you have a shot of like red and white or what?
A shot of what?
Red and white, or like whiny. You said whiny, so red or
it's a
red
different
or white wine.
It's not a wine color or wine drink. No. It's the dance you do. You asked me what the dance was.
Where's my wine? You gotta bring me.
You got a girlfriend, bro. You can't be whining.
You gotta bring my girlfriend, Patricia. Red wine, and makes me feel so fine. Come on.
You just said you have a girl, so you better bring her if you're gonna be doing any whining.
So Eric takes care of the wine. All right, Eric, you gotta take care of the wine. All right, the CEBL Friday. All right, and this is the first match is a rematch of the CEBL championship of last year. Brampton, which was Hamilton, Brampton into Scarborough, 7 p.m. at the Pan Am Center. Who do you got in this one?
It's going to be tough. Both teams obviously familiar with each other. They don't really like each other. One's from the West End, Brampton of Toronto, the GTA, and the other one from the East End. It's going to be tough. I think if Brampton was at home, 100% I'd pick Brampton, even though they've got some tough cookies on their team. Guys like Christian Vital, who are doing who has done a fantastic job in this league over the last few years. He's going up against, of course, a formidable Scarborough team. But Scarborough obviously is going to be missing some players. Kyle Alexander's with the national team this week, so they're not going to have him as a big man. And I don't know if they're going to have Cassius Robertson either, because he's at national team training camp also. So they may be a little bit undermanned. They were earlier this week, but they did pull off that win on Monday, the rescheduled game against Brampton. I think Scarborough is going to be in tough in this one. They're going to pull it out. Somehow Cap Barber is going to pull it out. They're going to win by 2. Elam ending time. It's going to be a thriller for sure.
And Scarborough, I believe, will pull it out probably 2 to 5 points. Their Cap Barber will be the star of that game. Now, also Friday in the West, we got Edmonton and Winnipeg at the Canada Life Center. Let's give it to Winnipeg, a new expansion team. And last game they had like 8,000 people. 8,000 and obviously average attendance at Scarborough game is 1,000, right? But Winnipeg, 8,000 people. And who do you get? Edmonton, of course, I believe they won the CBL 3 times already.
Yeah, they've multiple championships for them. They're always tough. for sure. The amazing thing is that the new teams, Winnipeg and Calgary, actually have home court advantage. Like, which
And
league
Ottawa, for that matter,
Ottawa, well, they're not new, but Ottawa does, yeah. But these two, Winnipeg and Calgary, new franchise. Of course, Calgary moved over from Guelph. Shane James is out there, Toronto native, GTA native, running things out there in Calgary. But yeah, Winnipeg hosting that one. I'm gonna put my bets with them just because they've got that momentum. Could be 10,000 in there for that game on Friday as well. And that one's at 9 p.m. Eastern start. So right after Scarborough Brampton at 7 p.m. Eastern will be that one. So I'm going with Winnipeg on that. I think they got the home court advantage. My man Teddy, he's going to be throwing up shots from the outside, and they just will have that support. And Edmonton is not the same. It's not the same Edmonton as before. They're a little bit down this year, but we'll see. It's going to be a close game for sure. It's going to be a great battle.
All right,
Canada Life Center.
And then Sunday, from what we're saying, Scarborough will take on Ottawa, and then Winnipeg and Calgary. Maybe we'll do something on Saturday night, maybe, or whatever, to preview that game. But we won't preview this game. Alex is beside. I had to put him beside a white wall there. He wants to, CBL. He's kept quiet and everything, but he wants to talk a little now. Look. He wanted to talk a little bit of NBA there, so let's touch on a little NBA. Till he comes back, we'll talk about the Canadian basketball, the best lineup for Canadian basketball in the tournament, probably in the history of Canadian basketball. What do you say, Drew?
The lineup for Team Canada is unbelievable. We'll see. It's going to be determined on who they pick for the team. But for Team Canada, I was at practice yesterday. Had a chance to check them out before the World Cup. May go back as well rest of the week. But man, oh man, you see guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You see RJ Barrett. You see Nikhil. You see Kelly Olynyk, Luguentz Dort. Jamal Murray was there. And it was interesting.
Let me correct you, because when I spoke to Jamal, he wants to be referred as an NBA champion, Jamal Murray. Correction.
Yeah,
so
NBA
now,
champion.
Yeah, okay. So you got to correct yourself, okay?
NBA champion Jamal Murray. And just to see him there, obviously, he kind of dipped out before media came through, but I know he was there. I saw him afterwards. For him, and Shai was asked an interesting question, like, has he imagined playing with Jamal yet in the backcourt? He said no, he really didn't have time to imagine that, but he said it would be fun, quoting there. And also mentioned, what it meant to be playing here in Canada and for his country, and where he grew up. He's Toronto native, but grew up in Hamilton, grew out in the Hammer. He went to high school there before he went to the States to play at Hamilton Heights, but he's very, very, very much in tune with playing for his country and representing Canada, representing people with Canada on their driver's license. Like, that was a dope quote as well. So the NBA talent in the building for Canada, there's never been this type of roster. And not only that, Joe, not this type of roster with top tier performers in the NBA. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, first team All-NBA. That's absolutely incredible. And then you have Jamal Murray, as you said, Joe, NBA champion Jamal Murray, who alongside the Joker was just a formidable duo that could not be defeated this year. And they have a chance to run it back, over the next few seasons as well. So we have never had high-level talent that's actually contributing to, All-NBA type players and also All-Stars and also champions that are actually the main focal point of their team. So, this team, it's about chemistry though, Joe. It's like, how are they going to fit? Not everybody's going to be able to score and shoot. They're going to have to sacrifice their games and give up some of their games in order for this Team Canada team to qualify. And that's what Shai was saying. His only thing is to get to the Olympics. He's dreaming about getting to the Olympics, but it's going to be a tough road in the World Championships. But this team, if they can lock down defensively I think they have a good chance of even medaling at the World Cup.
All right, Drew, be quiet for like you talk. This guy's in a corner here. He wants to talk NBA basketball. Now he'll disappear. He wants to talk. So, Alex, the floor is yours now. I'll give you your 24-second shot clock. Anything NBA, go ahead.
All right. Biggest news in the NBA has got to be the recent update on the Damian Lillard trade to Miami. I don't know if you guys heard this, but it looks like 6 picks and maybe Kyle Lowry involved. 3 firsts, 3 seconds, and Lowry because they need to move that big contract to make a little space for another huge contract to still feel comfortable under the cap. And really, I think that this is starting to really develop some real clarity on that trade because as we all know, like Dame has been consistently requesting Miami as the destination. And I think this is the deal that makes the most sense for both sides. If you look at what Portland's been able to do in their scouting department with draft picks, with Simons being a late pick, with a great pick of Shaedon Sharpe, I mean, to me, it puts them on the right timeline. They could build a contender here and get real value out of Dame, who's an older player. And I'll add this. It's going to look like Miami won the deal in the first 2 years. Just like every time a giant superstar leaves, like when Shaq left LA, it looked like the Heat won that, right away, basically. But reality was the Lakers knew that Kobe had a better nutrition plan, and he actually worked out consistently, and he was a little bit younger, and he was going to last longer, and he was going to build a second three-peat, and he did. So, I think in a very same way, it's going to look like Portland lost early in this deal, but they could really make something of it if those scouts can continue to perform the way they have.
All right, so you mentioned I got some news there. Drew, maybe you want to talk about that potential trade with Kyle because I know one thing. Kyle is not going to go to Portland, but they did make a phone call to some guy number 10 who used to play with Kyle in Toronto. Could Kyle be traded to Portland and DeMar come with Kyle as part? I believe DeMar's a free agent. There you go. Alex doesn't agree with that, but what do you say, Drew?
I mean, where would they go? I didn't get Portland. What you said at the end. Where would he would go to Portland, Lowry, and then
Lowry's part of the trade for Damian Lillard, Portland to Miami, and then Lowry won't want to go to Portland, so they made the phone call to DeMar, and DeMar, if Kyle's there, DeMar wants to be there.
I mean. To me, that would really make sense. If you're DeMar, you're trying to win a championship, Portland's not going to be the place to do it. It's great. Obviously, they have that relationship.
Well, DeMar wants to go Lakers, let's face it. But Lakers don't look like they're going to win a championship either.
Well, I mean, surprisingly, though, the Lakers are going to be, I think they're going to be a tough team.
The number 3 guy for Lakers is Austin. All right?
Well, I mean.
Not Stone Cold Steve Austin. What? Not Stone Cold.
I wouldn't discount the Lakers. They've made some additions. Remember over the summer and the trade, they've made some good trades, picked up some players, got rid of Dennis, who's at Toronto now.
Yeah,
who wasn't that great. Picked up what's his name from Miami, the point guard there. That was a nice little pickup. So, I mean, I don't know if the rumors are true with DeMar trying to reunite with Kyle. It would be great, sentimental move, but I don't think they're winning any championships there.
All right. Anything else that you want to touch on Canada basketball? Because I don't know, Alex comes in and out. So
yeah, it looks like Alex having some problem. Yeah, like I said, training camp is here this weekend at the OVO Center, Athletic Center in Toronto. Great to see the guys. We got a chance to listen to Kelly Olynyk. Got a chance to listen to Coach, brand new coach Jordi Fernandez, who had some great comments. You can see it on our page, On Point Basketball, on our Instagram page. Talked about taking responsibility. Also talked about his experience being with the international game, being born in Spain, but being in the NBA for the past 16 years, including 6 with Jamal Murray. So he's very familiar with Jamal's game, very familiar, I think, with Canadians and the style of play that they think will be successful. Wants the team to be cohesive. And Kelly Olynyk talked about that too. The family relations, we talked about the Scrub brothers and how they were on the team for a long time. And all the guys that helped carry him and Dwight Powell said all the guys that helped carry Team Canada over to qualifying, Joe, when the NBA guys couldn't play. And then Kelly also added that the familiarity with guys, because, you have guys that are cousins like Shea and Nikhil, and, they've got long relationships with guys like RJ. And just the fact that these guys actually know how to play ball really well. They're positive about what's happening with that team and the whole Canada basketball movement. So great to see. Again, it's going to be tough playing over there in the Worlds. They're going to have some exhibition games. I can't remember, but I think they're playing either France or Spain. I got to look it up, but I know they have a few big games scheduled before they actually start the World Cup. So, I'm looking forward to getting back there the rest of the week, checking out, the practices, and then seeing what this team is all about.
All right. Tell everybody, since we're going to conclude it, tell everybody how they could get a hold of you social media wise.
Yeah, Apoy Basketball always on Instagram and Facebook, Drew Ebanks on Twitter, and also YouTube, On Point Basketball, onpointbasketball.com also. So, it's growing. Big weekend coming up. We got the Pro-Ams coming up. The Ball Don't Stop Pro-Am Thursday. We got the Toronto Pro-Am going on Friday. And as we mentioned before, this big CBL game, CBL playoffs coming up this week.
Hey, relax. I go crazy on Friday and you say relax. Now you're going to go like by the way, honestly, Scarborough, if you haven't seen a game in Scarborough, go out Friday. It's a playoff atmosphere. It's probably going to be sold out. They do an amazing job. Scarborough, east end of Toronto. Go out if you miss basketball, like the Raptors and all that, and it's a battle of Ontario, I guess you're gonna call it, because Scarborough and Brampton, defending champions. They could be out by Scarborough. That's it. But certainly CBL playoffs. Going to be fantastic this weekend, and next weekend's the championship game in BC. There, Drew, I'm not flying you out to BC. I was going to fly you out to Detroit for SummerSlam, but you have refused to go cover SummerSlam. You didn't acknowledge me and all that, and you didn't acknowledge. I want to acknowledge once again. All right, on Tuesday it was International Girlfriend's Day, so I'm acknowledging Patricia, my girlfriend. Love you. Happy belated International Girlfriend's Day. Drew, look it up. When's International Boyfriend Day?
No clue. I didn't even know that was a thing.
What do you mean? Wait a minute. On every month, don't you get flowers, candy, or whatever for your girlfriend?
It's not the same like back in the day, Joe. We don't get those things all the time anymore.
All right. You know what? Are you single? Never mind. All right. So on behalf of Alex Campbell, Fired Up Alex is to get him on social media. Drew Ebanks, Captain Canada, and Drew will be covering next week the CBL playoffs and hopefully semifinals and finals. And we may be back Saturday or Sunday to preview the second round of the playoffs if Drew is not winding it up in Carabana, yeah? All right?
Great. It's going to be great.
But wait a minute. I want you to take one of those cameras and show everybody what you're doing, whining. Show everybody what's to whine.
I don't have those pictures. Google it. Whining.
What's your favorite food to eat at Carabana?
Man, you're running around so much. It's hard. But usually the curry goat rice, plain rice, roti's a big one.
Roti's good.
Great food. A lot of people eat roti at Carabana. There's going to be vendors down there, obviously. And your favorite spirits. You can't do the parade route without a flask or something with your favorite spirits as well. It's going to be a good time.
Did you just say you're going to flash me? Is that what you're saying? You're flashing?
Flask. Relax.
Flash.
Don't get all excited now. I'm
not excited. Seeing you, I don't get excited. But I know all NBA is going to be here. And let's final thing. I'm good friends with this guy. He started from the bottom. I raised him up here. It's Drake. Drake's been doing concerts. I see KD coming out to the concert. I see the New York Yankees or whatever. When he's in Toronto, who comes out? Come on. She should call the president of the provinces of Canada.
Yeah, he'll bring you up. Don't worry. You'll be up there right on stage with him. Shout out also Busta Rhymes and 50 Cent, who were here this week. Big concert.
And he called out Toronto.
Yeah, they did. And they brought up my man Cardinal Cardinalo on Instagram to come on stage with Busta Rhymes. He calls him his mentor. So that was phenomenal to see. I wish I had gone to that show. It looked absolutely phenomenal.
Why didn't you go?
I don't know, man. I kind of lost it track there, and I didn't realize it was here.
All right, Drew. Stay tuned for more great programming here on the Fired Up Network. Thanks a lot, Drew.
Thanks, guys.
I'm Gerald Bentley. This is Wrestling with Sales, and today we're going up high. We're joined by the Mile High Magnum himself, Jack Draper, your reigning, defending, and I'll say undisputed Central States Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. Dak, hey, thanks for joining us here on Wrestling with Sales.
And anybody who denies that, I got 3 words for him. It's shame on you. There's no on you right now. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. And not going to say it's disputed because I don't think it's going to be all that much of a contest. But coming up this Saturday in Kansas City, just down the road from the Lenexa City Center at the National Guard Armory, it's Iron Sharpens Iron. Our guest, the Mile High Magnum, Dak Draper, your Central States Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, going to be defending it in a 60-minute Ironman match against the Monarch, Jeremy Wyatt. You can still get tickets Saturday, July 29th, right there. Bell time at 7, gates open at 6, and we can see Dak defending that title. It's a unification match against Jeremy Wyatt, the Monarch. Like I said, I don't think it's a disputed championship, but how do you feel going into that? You two guys have crossed paths a lot in the Midwest in all sorts of different territories, champions all around the Midwest.
Yeah, we've crossed paths a lot. First off, there's no way this would be a disputed championship since Jeremy Wyatt was in the match where I won this championship.
True.
So, yeah, if anything's disputed, it'd be the DWF championship. That's not even called the Central States. What is a DWF? Nobody even remembers. But, yeah, Jeremy Wyatt and I, in all seriousness, we've wrestled all over the Midwest, especially in Kansas City. And for me, this match is more than just for the unification of the championship. This is 1 hour where the 2 most important figures in Kansas City wrestling in the last decade are going to go out there. They're going to set the timer for 1 hour, and the one who has the most falls at the end of the hour is the champion. And it's just going to show who is the most important figure to Kansas City wrestling in the last decade. And I feel like it's going to be a great way for us to go out there and take the whole second half of the show and to prove who is the real man of the last decade in KC.
That's, a lot of stakes in it because you guys first started running into each other back when it was the National Wrestling League, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was NWL then. And that's when Jeremy Wyatt had been around. I think he'd been around for about a decade in Kansas City up to that point. And I had just moved here from Denver. And we definitely had different trajectories where he was the constant and people were used to seeing Jeremy Wyatt. And I came in and just rocketed up the card, took the NWL by storm. And we always had that. Even when we would see eye to eye, we always had that little bit of headbutting there where there was just
a little
friction between us, like that kind of healthy friction there, that competition. And it's boiled over a few times for sure. And it's going to boil over yet again. I was trying to tally how long I've wrestled Jeremy Wyatt before this hour. And I ran out of time and just got distracted because we've wrestled so many times in such long matches. And so this is going to be another one where I want to say that I hope that it's the end of the book, but I just have a feeling that, life starts going well and Jeremy Wyatt pops up again. So it's one of those things that I don't know if we'll ever be done with it, but if we are done with it after this, we're going to show who is the most important figure in Kansas City wrestling in the last 10 years.
As a dealer, you spend a lot of time buying cars at auction. If you're using Edge Pipeline to manage your purchases, then this is big news. Montway Auto Transport has partnered with Auction Edge to add a transportation option onto Edge Pipeline. Now dealers can manage their auction buys and book transportation with just one click right in the Edge Pipeline platform. As a nationwide leader in auto transport, Montway understands a dealer's need for speed and efficiency and can arrange single or multi-vehicle moves from auction to any lot in the country. With Montway's technology, dealers can gain full transit visibility and tracking after an order has been booked, making it much easier to manage inventory. Buy, ship, and track all in Edge Pipeline. Go to www.montway.com/WS to learn more. That's definitely a very clearly drawn line and unique way to settle it, too, the Ironman match. I had a chance to talk to TJP recently, and he had what I thought was one of the best Ironman matches I've ever seen against Josh Alexander for the Impact title. And he just talked about how much went into it and how proud he was to have completed that match just because of the physical challenge and the mental challenge to make it through an hour. And that's a lot of time to be in the ring.
A ton of time. It's I've been training for it too. I was down at the Kansas City Pro Wrestling Academy on Monday. It was just having students come in, new student every 10 minutes, new guy every 10 minutes. Just stay the bull in the ring, trying to make sure that like my body is there, my lungs are there, but most importantly that my mind is there. Because when you get past that like 30-minute mark, that's when you get tired. You start to make mistakes, not thinking as clearly. And so it's going to be my mind above all, because my mind's the general, my body's the army, and I need my body to follow. If my mind's right, my body will follow.
Good idea. And now you mentioned the Kansas City Wrestling Academy. I had a chance to get up there a week ago and just see some of the young guys. Scott Tyler was up there, and the Hoodie and Anaya, the Hollits, were up there working it. Heidi Howitzer. With the school in the city, what does that do for the whole wrestling community, let alone for Central States Wrestling?
Well, I don't think that there's been somewhere in Kansas City for a while since NWL left where wrestlers can go get trained by wrestlers and work with wrestlers that are actually traveling and wrestling on shows that are above the level that happen both like in Kansas City and around the Midwest, where before I don't feel like there was that window to the outside. And with us having the Kansas City Pro Wrestling Academy, I feel like they get to get in there and wrestle. Like just like on Tuesday, the kids got to get in and they got to wrestle with me, where they typically, like when I was at their experience level, I never got to touch someone in the ring that was wrestling for the NWA and had wrestled in Ring of Honor, had wrestled in NXT. And so I feel like it's this great opportunity for them to really feel how the level that they need to get to in order to be a traveling wrestler, in order to be making money doing this, in order to do this at the level that they want to do it at versus just the hobby level.
Yeah, and actually learn the proper technique and probably more importantly, the mental aspects of the job. And when I was up there, quite a bit of what I saw was Hoodie talking to the young guys about how to present yourself, how to cut the promo, how to engage, how to connect with your audience, which I think is a huge, huge part of it. I mean, if you watch the national channels right now, watch the WWE, a guy you ran into quite often in the past, Eli Drake. Now he's L.A. Knight. He's getting a lot of press because he's making that connection to the audience.
Absolutely.
He's not even getting a chance to really wrestle much, but he's making that connection. And then over in AEW, Adam Cole, baby, the people are ready for story time with Adam Cole and they're listening to him. And I think when you go to a Central States show, when you go to an NWA show, when you come out, when the Mile High Magnum comes out, there's that same connection. You don't have to say a whole lot, and the whole crowd is focused on you. Like I said, when we were talking before we started, first independent wrestling show my wife went to, as soon as you came out, she went, "Oh, yeah, he's the best guy." And of course, that's the match that you won the Central States Championship in.
You have a very smart wife.
Yeah. She's happy to be part of the Central States Wrestling family. We've had a chance to sponsor some of the women's matches and getting a chance to sponsor a couple other matches. So yeah, it's great to be involved, and it's really fun to see the community come out. All the kids, that's what she really liked. all the kids, all the families getting involved, having a good time, and connecting, which is what I think is important, because the idea of wrestling with sales is helping people make that connection to whatever their base is. Well, it's really transparent in pro wrestling. Your base is the people sitting in the stands, the people that are coming in, the word of mouth that's bringing more families in. And it's really been a dramatic difference in Central States wrestling. You can see that connection being made as people are coming in and filling up the CSW zone. I mean, this is a Saturday. Here's a picture of a crowd from a couple of shows ago. Saturday night, middle of the month, very little promotion, and it was packed.
Mm-hmm. I feel like we've done such a good job of making that connection with the fans, making the fans feel like it's an event. Everything is, and that comes from the top, with matchmaker Michael Strider, where he puts matches together where he doesn't use guys that he thinks aren't going to connect with the fans. And I feel like it comes down from the top. We all believe in what Central States Wrestling is doing. We believe that Central States Wrestling has the best of intentions for us. And I feel like when you believe that, you can really go full force into something. You can dive in head first just kind of dipping your toe in.
Yeah, because you need to be committed. You're putting your body on the line, you're putting your time on the line, and you're also passing up opportunities for other shows. I mean, we can see you on NWA. You can search NWA on YouTube, and you can see Dak teaming up in Magnum Muscle with Mims. Real prominent role in the National Wrestling Alliance, the relaunch of that. So you're out there on the national scene, and experience and time in NXT, in Ring of Honor. And I'm sure the goal is to continue that trajectory and get to where you deserve to be at the highest level.
Oh, absolutely. My goal is to be as popular of a wrestler as I can be, to make as much money in wrestling as I can be, and really to accomplish. I've got a quiet list of goals that I have in wrestling. And I do feel like the time is getting, of course, time is something that we can never get back. I feel like the two most important things you have in life are your time and your attention. And so I feel like the closer I get to accomplishing those goals, the more almost stressed I become about it, because then you start to feel the time ticking away. I feel like it's like anything where when you look, you don't see, when you're at the bottom, you don't see how many levels there are to something. As you get closer, you can see, okay, I need to jump to this level. You don't realize there's level 3, say you want to go from level 2 to level 3, you don't realize you have level 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D until you're in it. And so I feel like that's something where as the higher I get in wrestling, the closer that I get to accomplishing my goals, the more that I realize that, oh, I need to work even harder. You get to a point, you think, oh, I've worked really hard to get here. Well, now you have to work that hard to stay there, and you have to work even harder to get to the next level.
Yeah, it's just like somebody that's at a dealership, or maybe you're selling insurance, and you look at that top salesperson, you're saying, hey, I want to be that guy. I want to be that lady. Look at how much they sell, and they do it, and it doesn't even look hard. Well, it doesn't look hard because they're really fluid at it. They've been doing it for a long time, and they're putting the effort in. You just don't even see it because they're so smooth and efficient in what they're doing. But it's not easy.
Oh, absolutely. They've been putting the effort in for so long that their level of effort looks effortless. And if it was easy, everybody would be the top salesperson. If it was easy, everybody would be holding this title right here.
Yep.
But it's not. And that's the beauty of it. It's where you become so engulfed in the process. The process becomes who you are. Just like right before we started filming, I was eating a big bowl of chicken and rice. That's just my life. It's a non-negotiable, because your life just starts to become, everything that you do revolves around being successful in what you do. And if you love what you do, then it doesn't feel like a job. It feels like what I do in my life.
Now, I've had a chance to talk with, TJP, with some trainers from New Japan. And a long time ago, back when I did Morning Drive Radio, I had Lord Steven Regal on. And they all said something that was very familiar and very similar, that they believe it takes about 10 years to hit your peak as a pro wrestler. And that most of the best pro wrestlers in the world are 37, 38 years old. Do you agree with that? Do you think it takes that long to really hit your stride?
I'm 10 years into wrestling now, and just the quality of matches I have and the ease of having those matches as compared to if I had a match close to the matches that I have pretty regularly now, the level of effort I would have to put into it or I feel like there were times where I'd have really good matches, but it was more like lightning in a bottle, where it was just the stars aligned for that match to be really good. Where now it's something that's just constant for me. And I agree with that so much. Like I feel like everything over the past year, right when I got 10 years in, has started to make so much more sense. It started to become so second nature. And it's something where it makes me think about how when NWL started, Jeremy Wyatt was 10 years in. I think he maybe even more than 10 years in.
Okay.
And if he wasn't 10 years in, he sure gave off the impression he was 10 years in because he was so damn good. But, and we were all babies. I think I was 4 years into wrestling. Hoodie Howlett had been wrestling for a while, but not as long as Wyatt. Anaya was like 2 years in. Everybody, Moonshine was, I think, 3 years in. So we were all pretty new. And I feel like it had to be very, very, looking back, I can see why Wyatt's so grumpy now, because if I had to hang out with these toddlers in wrestling and just pull them through matches and see these guys get popular from a lot of the stuff that we picked up from him, yeah, I'd probably be a little irritated myself.
Fair enough. Now, did the NWL, is that what brought you to Kansas City?
Yep. I was, so I started wrestling. I was a college wrestler, so I was an amateur wrestler.
Okay.
I got into amateur wrestling because when I was a kid, my mother hated that I liked to watch WWF on TV.
Uh-huh.
So I went to kids wrestling practice in order to watch Monday Night Raw. But I liked kids wrestling. I liked wrestling too. So I got good at it, was really good at it in high school, even better at it in college. Then my senior year at the NCAA tournament, I got approached by a scout from WWE, got signed to NXT. I spent 2 years there. And then upon leaving NXT, I moved back to Colorado. And I got really lucky because Rocky Mountain Pro Wrestling, which still runs out of Denver.
Yeah.
They started their owner, Matt Yaden, who was one of my original trainers, him and Pat Tanaka. They were, he really wanted to run a lot of shows. And so he ran like over 100 shows in the first year that I was gone from NXT. So I got to take all this knowledge that I learned at the WWE Performance Center and apply it on my own. And everything, their production is great. Everything was filmed. And so I could watch it all back. And I still, to this day, I'll watch my film back because I feel like that's very important and you have to be critical of yourself.
Sure.
I might be overcritical because I feel like because I know what's going to happen next, I just watch it like I suck. But I feel like that makes me a better wrestler every time because I come out of it with criticisms for myself. And so I got to spend a year and a half in Rocky Mountain Pro where I might not have known what was good, but I knew what was bad. And so when I would watch my stuff back, I'd say, oh, well, that was bad. I shouldn't do that. And through trial and error, I probably had about 200 matches in that year and a half where by the time NWL happened, I was working at a gym, and Chris Goff, who used to run Metro Pro Wrestling.
Sure.
Chris Goff. I love Chris Goff. I'd run through a wall for Chris Goff. He was our boss at NWL.
Mm-hmm.
He called me, and it was like he called me, and my girlfriend at the time and she hated pro wrestling. When she started dating me, I was an MMA fighter, so she hated pro wrestling. She wanted to date a fighter, and so she's in the room, and I get on the phone with Goff, and he offers to fly me out to Kansas City to see what NWL has going on. And I hang up the phone, and I was like, yeah, that was about a pro wrestling gig. And she goes, you have to be kidding me. And I was like, I think we should break up. So we broke up.
There you are. Good career decision.
Yep. I knew I was back in business. They flew me out to check it out. And I remember just looking at the setup, and I think Goff thought he was going to have to pitch to me. And I turned to Goff and I said, are you guys going to offer me a contract today? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, all right, well, let's just go straight to that.
Sure. Yeah, it was such a crazy setup with the NWL. And you can go back and search on YouTube. I had Chris Goff on a couple months ago talking about it, and he has his own podcast, The Worst Territory in the World, which is kind of a sarcastic take on Kansas City wrestling. But the NWL was really unique. And what's left of the NWL is still very, very much a part of Central States wrestling DNA.
I feel like something that stands out about the NWL is how glowingly all the people that were involved really closely, especially over the last 6 months there, how glowingly they speak about it. Everybody speaks about it like it's a celebrated relative that passed away, where it was, oh, if only, if only, if only. Like everybody just is glowing about the NWL and the experience that we had. And with I think Kansas City was the best place for it because the people in Kansas City. Kansas City just has a special kind of people. And I talk to a lot of people about this that are not from Kansas City. And people just, they're not as stuck up or as snooty as most places. They don't worry about what other people think as much. They're going to go out and they're going to enjoy a wrestling show, and they're going to be loud, and they're going to be loud. They're going to interact. They're going to boo the heels. They're going to baby faces. It's just, I don't know. It's Kansas City's a great city for wrestling. And it's so funny that the podcast is called The Worst Territory in the World, because that's what a lot of the old timers thought about the Central States territory. But I moved here from Colorado for NWL. Hoodie, Anaya, they both moved here from Denver. Moonshine moved here from Texas. And then after NWL closed, we all moved away, and we all found our way back because we all missed Kansas City. So you got 4 crazy guys who moved back to the worst territory in the world.
And rebuilding it, getting that enthusiasm back. And now you have some online presence. You can actually check out the Central States wrestling shows on YouTube, watch the whole card. Really well produced, the same kind of quality production you tune in and you see on TV. You can check it out and pop it up on YouTube on your screen. It looks great on the big screens. You can check out those matches I was talking about with Dak on there. And I think that's something that's different in independent wrestling now, is that availability to televise the product. Had a chance to talk with Mojo Raleigh. He's running Paragon Talent. And I asked him, hey, what about the growth of independent wrestling? How is that helping people now?
It's been great, man. It's another avenue for guys to get their name out there, to go out there and actually have your hard work rewarded. I mean, for such a long time, if you weren't with one of the bigs, your work went unnoticed, and you had to hope you wrestled long enough to try and get a call that led to 8 more calls before you could finally have that first tryout or audition. I mean, now you can just have one really good day, and that might get you an opportunity. I love that. And that's producing a lot of talent that probably we would have never been able to see. So it's been awesome.
And I think what he was talking about there, and what I wanted to ask you, is the presence of the online video. You can go down the rabbit hole and you can watch, mentioned Rocky Mountain Pro Wrestling. You can go on YouTube and you can see they're up to 382 episodes now of Rocky Mountain Pro. Another really well-produced show. That just gives so many avenues for people to get discovered and to get into the spotlight.
It made it so easy for us, where there are guys who in Rocky Mountain Pro or in Denver who we want to help get out of Colorado, because Colorado is a wasteland for wrestling. It's just geographically isolated. The opposite kind of people that live there from Kansas City, where people, it's not trendy to go to a pro wrestling show. And so they're never going to check it out, and they're not going to check it out. They're going to rob themselves of a good time because they don't want to tell people that they're going to pro wrestling. So I don't like Denver for pro wrestling. I love Denver as a city that I grew up in. I don't like Denver for pro wrestling. And there are some guys there that we were trying to get booked in Central States wrestling. It was really easy when we go to Michael Strider and be like, hey, look at this match. And you could just pull it up on your phone, or you can send it to him. It makes it so much easier. I do feel like it's a double-edged sword, though, because I was talking about how earlier sometimes the stars would align and I would have a match that was way better than anything that I was capable of.
Sure.
I feel like there are some guys where I'll watch a match and I'm like, oh, this guy's really good. And then we'll get out there and they'll hit me in the chin a bunch of times and break my jaw. And
that's true.
My jaw is still clicking from a guy like that. But it's just you have a I feel like it's a double-edged sword. But the thing is, if you keep putting out that quality content, you're gonna get noticed, or at least I like to believe that you're gonna get noticed by someone. And especially in wrestling, it gives you control. It gives you more control because pro wrestling is a business of moving goalposts. You can kick a field goal and it looks like it's going to make it in, and that goalpost moves 10 yards back.
Sure.
Face the goalpost again. So just having that, having the ability to have your matches broadcast so much more, it just gives you more at bats and more at bats. So I definitely think it's 99% to 1% awesome. And that 1% is the double-edged sword that I mentioned, whereas sometimes guys can be presented as a little better than they are.
Yeah, maybe get moved up a little bit too fast.
But my real question about what Mojo was, where did that hair come from? I've known the guy for 10 years and he was been bald as a baby the entire time I knew him until like 2 years ago.
Yeah, he's growing it out to be on TMZ Sports.
Oh, well, there we go. I
did it out for TV.
I always assumed that he was not bald by choice. I assumed that he was bald by necessity. But like on Facebook, I've seen all these pictures over the last year where he has this luscious hair. The guy's got more hair than I do now. I can't believe it.
Were you guys in NXT together?
Yeah, we were in NXT together.
Okay.
Party together. We used to have a really good time together because we were both former college athletes.
Yeah.
Of course, was a pro football player, but we were former college athletes. Me, him, and Angelo Dawkins, we got along really well. It was, Mojo. Mojo Rawley, he is the same guy that you see on screen as he is at 7 a.m. when we're at the Performance Center and nobody wants to count loud, and he's counting loud like he's a train conductor or something.
And you got to like what he's doing too, because Paragon Talent, he's giving wrestlers a chance to really kind of control their image, control their message, which is really a great ability because you don't have that union. You don't have a lot of agents running around. A lot of it's just you. So the idea to start up something to help the wrestlers is just a terrific idea.
It's just like sales. You're prospecting, and you have to do a lot of prospecting. And I think, and this goes with the fans and with finding your bookings. Like,
sure,
you want to. I think the number one rule of communication is know your audience, and so that's whether you're communicating with a promoter about wrestling for their show, whether you're out in a match. Like I always tell the young guys in the car, use the data you have, and if you don't have data, find a way to build some data. So that could be trying something really early in a match and seeing how the fans react. If they don't react to it at all, throw it away. You're not going to use it. If they react a little to it, maybe I'll try it one more time and see again. If they love it, okay. Everything we were going to do is changed because we're going to use the data we have, and we know that that's going to get us a reaction. So I feel like it's very similar to sales prospecting.
Oh, very much so. I like telling salespeople that you need to be able to change your level, which is an old school amateur wrestling line. You want to get to the same height as your opponent. You want to change the level. Maybe you want to get lower.
Yep.
By saying change your level, I just mean if you're going to talk really, really fast and your customer's laid back and real hesitant, well, stop, slow down. And if the customer's going real fast, raise up your energy level because they don't want to hear you going, well, this is really nice, you should do it. You just lost the person. So very true. I mean, it applies in all arenas.
Absolutely. I'm going to have a different match for example, I was up in Chicago for Second Wrestling. They did these sports camp shows, which as a child who spent all of his summers in sports camps, it was like a dream to me on like a Wednesday afternoon to go to Chicago and go to these sports camps. And these kids don't know wrestling's going to happen. So they come walk in the auditorium, and you can hear just like that kind of low, like murmur get louder. And then when they see the wrestling ring set up, and they're like, oh, you could kind of hear the noise, the energy. But it's just, I'm going to have a different match for those kids at the sports camp than I am for like Ring of Honor, like for the Pure Rules match versus Jonathan Gresham.
Sure.
Versus Jonathan Gresham. They're going to be two very different matches because you have to know your audience and you have to know your levels there. Just like you're not going to talk a mile a minute like a New Yorker to Brenda from Alaska, who's going to talk very slow. And you're not going to talk like Brenda from Alaska to the New York guy who wants to come in and get his car and then buzz out of there.
Oh, yeah. No, I've consciously had to try to slow down my speech because the first 6 years I lived here, usually about the second question I got from anyone I was talking to is, okay, where'd you come from?
Yep.
You're not from here.
Yep.
Well, no.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I love Kansas City so much. I saw a post the other day, though, about how someone said, I love Kansas City because everyone agrees to just go drive 20 miles an hour over the speed limit. And I feel like that couldn't be more wrong. Like, Kansas City has a very lackadaisical driving pace.
Yeah, no, they're driving pretty quick. Just today, I saw a Malibu zigzagging in and out of traffic at about 80 miles an hour. So, yeah, no, there's people are willing to drive fast.
I feel like that's kind of the outlier, though. I think for the most part, the cars are kind of moving slow like a herd of cattle.
Taking their time.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
I guess maybe that's just me up in the Northland.
Oh, I crisscross the city, so I notice it mainly on the I-70 Speedway.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Out here, out in the Northland, no, not as much. But on the I-70 Speedway, going past Arrowhead, yeah, they're clipping.
Oh yeah. You're moving at that point.
Well, hey, let's go ahead and go to the championship round here. Just ask a few quick questions, kind of wind it down.
Like, are these answers I can think about, or it's like, boom, I got?
Yeah, just kind of quick ones.
All right, let's do it.
Take a little time, no problem.
Turn my hat backwards.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't get blown off my head.
Heading into the back half of 2023, what destinations do you want to go to that you haven't gone to yet this year?
I want to wrestle in Canada. I would also like to wrestle in Mexico. I haven't wrestled either of those places. So Canada, Mexico, and I'd like to get back to the West Coast also. I haven't wrestled on the West Coast in like a year, so I'd like to do that also.
Good. What about a dream opponent that you haven't had a chance to wrestle yet?
Dream opponent that I've never gotten the chance to wrestle. I would say, ooh, that's kind of a tough one. Maybe Josh Alexander.
The walking weapon. Okay. And he's back, so that can happen.
Right.
Just showed back up at Slammiversary.
Also, someone else would be Jake Something. We've had that match set up a few times and it's fallen through.
Mm-hmm.
It was one time his travel got messed up. One time I got sick, I think. So we've had the match booked a few times, but it's just fallen through. So I'd also really like to wrestle Jake Something, another guy who just returned to Impact.
Yeah, at the same show at Slammiversary, and had a match in Central States recently. You can check that one out.
Yep.
What about your favorite opponent of all time?
Ooh, my favorite opponent of all time. Well, this is going to be funny because it's Jeremy Wyatt.
Okay.
It's and for a lot of reasons, other guys that are up there too. Hoodie Howlett, Moonshine's always fun to wrestle. Jake Durden was great to wrestle. Chris Hero has been I remember when I was 3 years in, I wrestled Chris Hero, and I feel like I walked out. When I walked through the curtain, I was 3 years into wrestling. When I walked back through the curtain, I felt like I was 5 years into wrestling. I was just so much better of a wrestler after wrestling Chris Hero. But number one has got to be Wyatt, because we've wrestled each other so many times at so many different junctures of both of our careers. And I think it's really cool to see, just as we both have gotten so much better and just gained so much more knowledge and so much more experience, how we've continued. We've wrestled each other for like over 5 hours, like combined before this match.
Sure.
It's still, every match is so different from the other matches. And so we still find a way to keep it interesting. And Jeremy Wyatt's got to be my number one opponent, who you're going to see me wrestle at on July 29th.
Well, and that's a good question to wind it down with, because like you said, Saturday, July 29th at the National Guard Armory, just past the Lenexa City Center, Jeremy Wyatt, the Monarch, going up against our guest, the Mile High Magnum, Dak Draper, your, I'll say it, undisputed Central States Wrestling champion in a 60-minute Ironman match. Iron sharpens iron. You can get the tickets, and it's coming up this weekend as you're watching this, Saturday, July 29th. Dak, do you got any words of warning for the Monarch as we close it out?
I just think I think regardless of what happens out there, Iron Sharpens Iron is the perfect name for this, because you've got two men who've been battle tested in this area for years and years. And honestly, may the best man win. And if he doesn't, then shame on you.
There you go. Great note to end it on. You can see new episodes of Wrestling with Sales.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley, that's Scott Savage, and you can join us at InsideTheGame.ca, those networks around the globe. Thanks to our friends over at FiredUp Network, 212 platforms there. You can join us on things like SoundCloud and a multitude of others. Don't forget YouTube at Inside the Game Official, and of course those beautiful TV streaming networks around the globe: Roku, Amazon Prime, Samsung Plus, Jinx Esports TV, ESTV, and there's so much more. Just look for us, you'll find us somewhere. Of course, don't forget about us over on Twitter at the official ITG, and Threads as well at Inside the Game. So take a look for there. Scott, there's a lot to talk about on today's show. Some big news, man. What do we have?
Oh, coming on today's show, we have Assassin's Creed Jade gameplay and a big leak. Big surprise there. Zelda Tears of the King sales numbers have driven the Switch up. Striking Distance Studio faces some layoffs, and Baldur's Gate on Xbox might not be happening for a while.
Yeah, it sounds like early next year possibly, but we'll be talking about that here shortly, so let's dive in. Scott, more Assassin's Creed news. As topic number one seems to be on more leaked footage out of Ubisoft. Shocker. Assassin's Creed Jade gameplay walkthrough leaks online. Tom Henderson over at Insider Gaming. A gameplay walkthrough of Assassin's Creed Jade, which is the mobile offering of Assassin's Creed from Ubisoft, has leaked online. The video was uploaded by user iMobile Gaming, who seemingly uploaded the content during its closed beta and under an NDA. So you know what that means, Scott, is he violated the rules, dude.
Yeah, that is the golden rule that we all know not to disclose or rip on.
No, there's an NDA signed for a reason, so that you won't break the rules, you won't show gameplay, and here they are. Now, granted, we will not be showing gameplay because it's not supposed to be seen. It's just that simple. But we definitely gonna talk about it.
Even if somebody else breaks the NDA, it's not okay for us to then go and share it just based on that. That's also us breaking the NDA if that were the case.
Absolutely. The over 2 hours of Assassin's Creed Jade gameplay footage shows off the game's combat, customization, and more. It's unclear how long the game is from release, but the likes of the voice acting suggest that it could still be a way out from its official release date. Officially, Assassin's Creed Jade is described as a first open-world Assassin's Creed title built for Android and iOS, and is being developed by Ubisoft and Level Infinite. Quote, create your own assassin as you leap into Assassin's Creed codenamed Jade, a brand new mobile open world game set in ancient China. Discover the Assassin's Creed open world experience optimized for a seamless experience with touch controls. Parkour on the Great Wall, sneak through bustling cities, discover secret locations, and journey through diverse environments with ancient China as an epic backdrop. End quote. The official game's description reads. Dude, I'm down for this, and part of me is a little disappointed it's on mobile, Scott.
Yeah, I had that realization. My screen is cracked, and I'm gonna have to get it fixed because it's starting to do the weird thumbstick thing.
Yep, nope, absolutely. It's funny how the game's received a brand new trailer from Ubisoft for it in 2023, but no official release date was given. Assassin's Creed Jade isn't the only mobile game from Ubisoft without a release date either, as publisher also aims to release, Scott, one of our favorite games, as Rainbow Six Siege is coming to mobile, dude, and The Division mobile is on the way as well in the next couple years or so. Nobody actually knows. There's no solid concrete dates on these, but you're starting to see Ubisoft picking up their mobile division a little bit and bringing some of the biggest titles they own over to the platforms.
Oh, it's really interesting to see, but I'm very cautious to see if that works out properly, because although I understand the numbers are behind the mobile market and it's just giant, it's something that I've never really enjoyed myself.
that which is fair. The one I played the most, and I mean the most, is PUBG Mobile. Dude, my wife and I have played that. I'll never forget it. It was Boxing Day just after Christmas. We literally got up, we sat on the couch, and we played that all day. That was the only, dude, we never left the couch, right? It was one of those, that's all we played that day. And it was so much fun. To bring over Assassin's Creed, now we are getting Codename Red, right? When you think about console, this is the next big RPG for Assassin's Creed coming out next year. Rumors are floating around to say that's what they're working on. And that's set in feudal Japan. So we're getting ancient China over the mobile side. And I'm down for this. I'm definitely going to try it. I want to try Siege. I want to try the Division as well. I believe it's the Division Resurgence. I almost said Heartland. Heartland is the new Division one that's coming to console. But nobody knows when that one's coming either. Dude, there's so many questions on Ubisoft. They're like, here's what we're working on, but there's no official release date. Which is probably, I'm going to say it, dude, this is probably for the best. Don't give us a release date, because then you fall into that skull and bone scenario, and then it gets delayed, and then it gets delayed, and then it gets delayed, and nobody knows when that game is coming out, or if ever at this point.
Yeah, no.
Profit also has yet to publicly comment on the layout. Kind of coming around. The genre is wide open for it. The availability is there. If they can just tweak some of these missing and minor critiques, then maybe that would take the sequel to the next level. Maybe we can get that Assassin's Creed 1 to Assassin's Creed 2 experience with the Callisto Protocol. But for me, dude, I just watched on the outside and I just listened to what your thoughts were on the game.
And welcome to the Fired Up Network. Welcome to the flagship show of the Fired Up Network, Fired Up Live, and welcome to the wrestling show with my good friend Giancarlo Lino. Let's get to it. We're going to also preview SummerSlam on the Mat Wrestling Show. Giancarlo, let's first start off with, me and you are friends, right? We've been 5-6 years, right? I am Jewish. Maxwell Jacob Friedman, so call me Joe Friedman from now on. You are Adam Cole. Grow out your hair for a second. Now, I'm going to give you a title match. Not only a title match in the biggest show ever in AEW history. Not only that, in London, England. Not only that, 90,000 fans. That's the main event. When is that the main event? Adam Cole, baby, against MJF, or is it the main event because Roderick Strong with the Kingdom, and there's history there? What's going on here?
I think Adam Cole was too quick to sign the contract without actually reading it. I think it's a non-title match.
It's a non-title match. They wouldn't do that for 90,000 fans.
I think they'll be surprised. And MJF, that's how he gets booed again. So Adam Cole wins, celebrates like he's winning the title, and then he finds out the title was never on the line. And then next week and All Out, they put it on the line.
Yeah. Or there's a schmoz, and then they set up for All Out the week after in Chicago there. Also, let's get to, let's get the other Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho now turning his back, or does he turn his back on the Jericho Appreciation Society? Canadian Matt Menard showing next week. Jericho Appreciation Society mandatory meeting. You need to be there. Well, it's Chris Jericho. It's Jericho Appreciation Society. So what's going on here? Don Callis making, throwing in the bat. He used the bat, and rumor has it that Will Ospreay will defend against Chris Jericho at All In. What do you think? It's not going to be Kenny Omega.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. I guess Ospreay's going to get a win over a big name, but yeah, there's so many better options there. I don't know what they're going to do with Jericho, but when this whole Jericho Appreciation Society goes away, Sammy Guevara will probably finally go on his own. Jake Hager will probably be still with Jericho and under whatever faction they're a part of. So Jericho, I think, is going to probably change his look a bit and reinvent this character again.
Now, you got everybody likes Danny Garcia. Do you have the moves like Danny Garcia now? Can you dance like Danny Garcia? Everybody's cheering for this. What is going? All the heels are faces. All the faces are and if you listened properly to Kenny Omega's promo, they announced they signed Dark Order signed an extension. The Elite signed an extension. It is 3 years. They didn't even negotiate with the WWE. If you listened to Kenny Omega at the end, he says, yeah, we run Dynamite, we run Rampage, and we run what? And then he blinked his eyes. So can we see, because CM Punk revealed that he has the world title in his bag. I thought it was a snake in the bag, but anyways, okay. Could we see Kenny Omega versus CM Punk for the world title, but not the world title, but yes, the world title, the NWO title, oh my gosh, the X title, all right? So can we see that for All In?
This might surprise everyone, but I kind of don't see where that whole Kenny Omega CM Punk match kind of really makes sense. I think Hangman versus CM Punk, with that's what really started that whole personal issue. So I think they should go with Hangman first. And the whole re-signing thing, I think they should have held out until the contract was coming up and then negotiate with WWE, get the biggest offer. But looks like they're happy staying in AEW, so good for them. But hopefully Kenny doesn't regret it if he sees that he's just going to flounder around. So hopefully it's a good thing.
Part of that scrum, Kenny Omega tried to make peace. Kenny Omega tried to get control of CM Punk's dog. So Kenny Omega was the one who was making peace there. All right. So that should be, and I don't know where they're going to go with Kenny Omega and his best friend, his Japanese pal. Could be a tag team there, but it looks like I'm going to give it away. It looks like FTR is finally going to go up against the Young Bucks at All In. All right. So All In, again, they announced it on Saturday, August 27th. It'd be the 0 hour or whatever they're calling it, begins at noon. The pay-per-view portion begins at 1 p.m. By the way, we have here at Rebel Nightclub in Toronto on August 27th a mini pay-per-view also from Impact Wrestling. So August 27th is going to be off the charts. Now, this Saturday, 1 a.m., you got the Women's World Cup. By the way, Giancarlo, Switzerland, Spain, 1 a.m. And then 10 p.m., we got the Netherlands, but I digress there. So 1 a.m., Women's World Cup. Then we got SummerSlam, and then we got Jake Paul, Nate Diaz. Before we preview SummerSlam, I'm going to ask you, Jake Paul, Nate Diaz. I know this is a wrestling show, but whatever. All right, Jake Paul, Nate Diaz. Does Nate Diaz eat Jake Paul alive?
I'll say this ends in a no contest. I think Nate Diaz wins, and a few days later, his drug test comes back, and in Texas, they're not as lenient with cannabis like some of the other commissions, and that's when they'll overturn the result, and Jake Paul can go on and say that the fight never really happened, he never lost. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens.
So if Jake Paul loses, there are rumors going around that he's going to retire from professional boxing. Do you believe that?
No.
All right. So that is, now let's head to the WWE before we go to the On the Mat Wrestling Show. WWE, acknowledge me, Roman Reigns, the bloodline and all that. But here it is. I know, Giancarlo, you're looking forward to this match at SummerSlam. Trish Stratus, Becky Lynch, they booked this for about 3 months, correct?
Yeah.
3 months. We're in SummerSlam week right now, right? You were 2019. You were there, part of Fired Up Network at SummerSlam. You're interviewing Big E. He's never been the same. All right, it's your fault. It's your fault. You interviewed him, and look what happened. All right, Eric Cohen interviewed Mandy Rose. Where's Mandy Rose right now?
So I had better luck than Eric.
Yeah, but Mandy, would you go for Big E or Mandy Rose? What's wrong with you? All right. So now, look. You have built Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus. Arguably, Trish Stratus, let's say, is the best lady wrestler. I know Charlotte's probably number 2.
No argument. No argument.
Okay, I know it's York University. I know it's okay. So Charlotte's probably number 2. Becky Lynch is number 3. We had Charlotte and Trish Stratus in Toronto, and now we're supposed to have in Detroit, just a little bit away from Toronto, Becky number 3 against number 1. What do they do the week of SummerSlam, 5 days before, 6 days before? Say, okay, they're going to have a match at Raw. That match lasted 12 seconds. Zoe Starks get involved. But now they're not going to have a match at SummerSlam. They're going to have a match in Winnipeg. By the way, I understand if Trish Stratus is from Winnipeg, because, Chris Jericho from Winnipeg, Manitoba. All right? Don Callis from Winnipeg. Kenny Omega from Winnipeg. I understand that. I even understand if Becky Lynch is from Winnipeg. By the way, Becky Lynch can't spell Winnipeg. All right? What in the blue hell are they doing? Taking away Trish Stratus, Becky Lynch for Raw, for SummerSlam, and putting it in Winnipeg. Explain.
Yeah, Trish Stratus posted even on Instagram reference to Chris Jericho. She said, Adam Pearce, it would make sense if it was on home turf, but I'm not from Winnipeg. I'm from Toronto, you idiot. And ended that there. So she got the reference out there, and it makes sense. Like, this match has been built up since after WrestleMania. and it would make sense that you capitalize that on SummerSlam in front of like 70,000 people. So I don't understand the logic behind that. And if they go on, like, I don't know what they can really do now, because if Becky beats Trish, like, it's going to be on Raw, but there's no payoff in this whole storyline. So I don't understand it.
Okay. No,
and I don't know what the people that come up and say that, oh, Vince McMahon's fault for this, and that. Last I checked, didn't he have surgery? So can't blame Vince McMahon on this one.
Forget about surgery.
It's all Triple H, right? Isn't he the booker?
People are charging, the government in the U.S. are charging Vince McMahon. Okay, I don't know. He even came out in a press conference. Yeah.
Allegedly.
Okay. So now, number one. Okay. So Becky Lynch, Trish Stratus not happening. Okay. Now, can you call your mommy? Is your mommy wrestling at SummerSlam?
I'll have to ask Dominic Mysterio that.
So that means no, correct? All right. So you have Asuka, you have Charlotte, and you have Bianca Belair. Great. But when you have a ladies champion, which is the show WWE Raw is revolved around the Judgment Day. Okay? Mommy, Rhea Ripley, heavily involved. SmackDown, Rhea Ripley, heavily involved. NXT, Rhea Ripley, heavily involved. But arguably the second biggest pay-per-view, not involved. Trish Stratus, number one, like we said, not involved. Becky Lynch, number 3, not involved. But yet they say, oh, they push ladies in the main event and all that. The ladies are... So you know what this smells to me? You want to know what this smells to me? This smells to me as we're going to have a ladies-only pay-per-view again. Do you agree?
I don't think so. I think the booker needs to address it, and you can't use the same excuse that it's Vince McMahon's fault. That's what I'll say on that, because that's all you see on Twitter. Oh, Vince McMahon is a problem. It's his fault that this match was scrapped, that match was scrapped. If the guy's getting spine surgery, I don't think he's having too much of a say there. So
I agree with you, but this is the problem. It's not Twitter. It's DX. So I blame Triple H or Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels is part of NXT, but this has to do with the big nose himself. All right. And I regret to mention on Dynamite, we forgot to mention, we're speaking about the ladies, the Dynamite 200 episode last night. What was the main event?
Tony Storm.
Against Shida. And Shida won the ladies championship. So kudos to Tony Storm. That's second-rate organization, according to Triple H, right?
And they had a big name come up. RVD.
Yeah.
That name rings a bell.
Yeah, and RVD next Wednesday on Dynamite. He's fighting for the FTW. By the way, what does that stand for? Because we got FTR, now we got FTW. Anyways, so AEW has a pay-per-view, okay, all in, and then they go all out, and then who knows what's going to happen and everything like that, because they're going to involve a lot. I expect a lot of stuff happening in that last week in August, Rick. What do you expect?
I think so too. I just think like the timing isn't that great. Like, you're asking your fan base to buy 2 pay-per-views back to back, and All Out's supposed to be like their biggest event, but you push a lot of fans to buy tickets and fly out, make the trip to All In and Wembley. So I don't know how they're going to really build interest in both, but you never know. They're taking a gamble, and it's paying off, at least with All In.
All right, All In, All Out, whatever you want to call it, that it should be a good week for AEW. Now, as you could see, a good job by the producer there, just switching up. Welcome to the On the Mat Wrestling Show. This is Joseph Pasek with Giancarlo Lino. And by the way, Giancarlo, I haven't seen you in 3 seconds. How you doing?
Great. Ever since the last transition to the Detroit SummerSlam poster, couldn't have gone better.
All right, so Detroit SummerSlam here. Like I said before the COVID, you were here in Toronto SummerSlam, arguably second, third premier live, not pay per view, premier live event. All right, premier live event, which we're going to go through the matches, but we talked about Trish Stratus not wrestling or whatever. Okay, which match before we start are you looking forward to the most?
Yeah, this is tough because like the build, like there's a lot of rematches. Like we're gonna see Cody and Brock again. Like I don't know if it can top the Backlash match, but I guess Roman versus Jey Uso is one, and Grayson Waller versus The Rock is another.
All right. Well, that match hasn't been announced, but let's get to the match. I thought you were going to announce Logan Paul versus Ricochet, as Samantha Irwin is going to announce the winner. And who's the winner going to be?
Logan Paul, because he has a jet and he's going to be flying out. So this match is going to be first, and I wouldn't expect it to last long.
So you're saying Logan Paul is going to beat Ricochet?
There's going to be some heel tactics, and I think this is going to be the first of two matches. I think we'll see another one at the next Premium Live event.
All right. So an MMA fight. Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler. Now, is this an MMA fight, or they say MMA rules, or are they going to make the ring an octagon? They haven't been cleared about that. What do you say?
I think this will just be like there's no pinfall, so knockout or submission. I think they actually built this up well on TV with the video packages showing their history and mentioning Shayna Baszler on The Ultimate Fighter. And they got personal there because it shows like Shayna Baszler is kind of right there because her being brought in, going through NXT, it was like the whole time they're recording Ronda Rousey to appeal WWE to her, and eventually it worked. So it looked like they were using Shayna in a way, and she brought that out in the promo. So I think it's going to be a good match, and I think Shayna should be the one that gets the win.
All right. So we got the SummerSlam Battle Royal, as opposed to the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Who remembers who won it? Do you remember who won it? No. I don't know. Okay. So is this being set up for LA Knight to win?
Yeah. It better.
Let me talk to you. Let me talk to you.
Slim Jim is sponsoring it too, so maybe LA Knight can get a Slim Jim deal and be the new Macho Man for WWE. And
You're wrong. Here it is. I'm going to tell you, since you said the Slim Jim is sponsoring it, nobody better. He's slim. His name is Jim. It is Otis. Otis wins the Slim Jim SummerSlam Battle Royal. What do you say?
I hope not. I like what Otis is doing with Chad Gable and Maxine. So I think they have to really continue to build that up. And if they give him this, like, it'll go back to the Money in the Bank thing where they're just trying to get a shocking moment. So hope they go with LA Knight.
The third match, I can't believe we have a trilogy in this one. Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I see Cody winning this. Brock and Cody had a couple good matches. I think the Backlash one was really strong. They could have ended it there easily because I think Brock was really giving in that one. But I think Cody gets the win, and Brock, I don't know if he'll turn like face after continue to be like right in the middle there, but I see Cody's next feud popping up, and I don't know if it'll be Randy Orton or Bray Wyatt, but I see one of them in his future.
Never mind. All right. For the Intercontinental Championship, Drew McIntyre versus Gunther.
I don't see Drew winning this. I think Gunther is going to retain, is going to continue this legendary run of his. And I don't know what Drew's going to do after this, but maybe he sets his sights on the world title. But I think after this, his feud with Gunther will be over.
They got to put Drew and Sheamus back together and go after the tag team titles. All right, go after the. By the way, speak about that. All right, so we talked about Trish not wrestling. We talked about Mummy not wrestling. Going to make Giancarlo some cookies. Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville not wrestling. They are the ladies tag team champions, and the men tag team champions who were main eventing. Couple pay-per-views again. I'll go. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. Nowhere to be found on this card. Not bad. Not bad at all. All right. Then we got the Women's Championship, as we mentioned. Asuka, Bianca Belair. Woo! Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, this one, it's a little unpredictable, which is good. like Asuka, her reign as champ right now hasn't been too long, but I wouldn't be surprised if Charlotte gets the win here. Just to get closer to 16 titles. She's almost there. I think why not? So I'll say Charlotte wins it and Bianca Belair turns heel in the coming weeks.
All right. So world heavyweight title, as opposed to the undisputed universal title, world heavyweight title, Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor, and Giancarlo still will be singing the song of Seth Rollins. Go ahead. I have a sneaky feeling we're going to have a surprise here.
I do too. I think Seth is going to drop the title, and I know a lot of fans when they go on Twitter and say like, "Oh, it's too soon." Like, no, it's not. Like, not everybody has to have a Roman Reigns and Gunther title reign where it's like 3 years that they're never losing the title. I think it's good that you have some of these results. Like Seth won it; he was a first champ, so I think it's now time to get it rolling. Finn Balor, I think, wins it, and Damian Priest attacks him and takes a title.
I agree because, or the next night, because Finn Balor doesn't have luck. He won the title and separated shoulder or whatever the next night, and I agree something's going to happen probably. And then we got the Universal Heavyweight Championship, Roman Reigns versus his cousin Jey Uso in a battle. What did they call this? A tribal chief match or whatever. I don't know what it means, but get the flowers there. And Paul Heyman's going to be playing a big part in this one. Solo Sikoa is going to be playing. You could see Jimmy Uso coming out, but I have a feeling we're going to have a new member of the bloodline in this one. Go ahead. Or or somebody from the bloodline named DJ. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, if I would like to see Jey Uso win just because it would really end the whole tribal chief storyline because it started with them too, and it was 3 years ago that they first had their match, and 3 years later Jey Uso can take the title. But I just don't see it right now because the way they've been building it up is they're kind of forcing it on Jay. Like they're really showing, oh, okay, he's going to win it, maybe. And it's kind of like the Sami Zayn build all over again. So I think Roman retains. And after the match, similar to Cody, I think his next opponent will be making their entrance, if it's not Solo Sikoa.
All right. And who, if you're saying if it's not Solo Sikoa, who is it?
I'll say Bray Wyatt. I think that would be one.
Who cares? Do you really care about Bray Wyatt anymore?
Depends. I think WWE still might have a little bit of a vested interest, so I think he's going to pop up either in Cody's match or Roman's match.
And who do I really care? If I don't care about Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt, do I really care about Cody Rhodes and Bray Wyatt?
Probably not, but he has to finish the story.
And what's the story? What's the story?
And Cody's story, winning the title. He has to finish it. They've been pushing it too long.
Again, kudos to AEW because the first thing they did when the promo of the AEW 200 was show Cody and Brandy there, and they showed Cody with Shaquille O'Neal and everything like that. Kid Rock is going to be there in Detroit. Wouldn't it be good if they do a feud between Kid Rock and Bad Bunny?
No. I don't know what Kid Rock would be in rest. I think after one bump, he's a little older now. I don't think it would have the same effect on as it would on Bad Bunny. So I think it might be a disaster to have Kid Rock wrestling.
All right, don't forget the WWE SummerSlam Premier live event happens this Saturday, August 5th, 8 p.m. from Ford Field. They're probably going to have announced 70,000 fans from Ford Field in Detroit, and it should be a good event. Also, as we mentioned before, Saturday night, Jake Paul, Nate Diaz. Also Saturday, Women's World Cup. All we need is Hockey Night in Canada, Giancarlo. All we need. But Giancarlo is going to be back here tomorrow on the Soccer Show with Carmen Asako. You saw him at 12:15. And I'm telling you this right now. I don't want no more talk because I know these guys are going to talk, honestly. Your memories of the great goaltender, Buffon. Go ahead.
Tune in tomorrow to find out.
See, he has finally learned how to cut a promo. I'm very proud of you, Giancarlo. Very proud of you. But if you ever do that again, you're going to be fired. All right. Tell everybody how they could get a hold of you here, social media wise.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at John_411, Instagram, Giancarlo_Alino. Check out my articles on firedupnetwork.ca and sportsgata.com. And if you're in Toronto, check me out on Vibe 105.
And check out Mark Freitas, a member of Fired Up Network. He wrote a great article on firedupnetwork.ca about SummerSlam. I guess the greatest 10 matches. Mr. Perfect should be there. All right. Thanks a lot, Giancarlo.
Thanks.